This is Legends and Libations.
Sipping through history.
Let the journey begin.
Welcome back to Legends and Libations.
Sipping through history, because that's the best way to get through history.
It might have been a little bit since you've seen us because it took us a long time to get back from the South Pole.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it took us a hot second.
In reality, sled dogs
going the way.
In reality, I was sick for a while, and that's why we haven't had an episode out for you guys. Probably the most sick I've ever been in my life for like the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, that was miserable.
I felt like a tuberculosis patient, like they were going to put me in one of those sanatorium things and just like leave me to die.
I was about to put you in an iron lung.
An iron lung? I've always wanted to be in an iron lung.
You don't want to be in an iron lung.
I think, don't they put Axl Rose in an iron lung after like Guns N' Roses concerts? Because he can't breathe very well.
Oh my God, do they?
I've heard that before.
Wow. I like Guns N' Roses.
Me too.
I didn't know that about them. My God.
I don't know about modern Guns N' Roses though, but
yeah. I went to go see Kansas not that long ago. Well,
the band,
actually quite a long ago, but
the band Kansas,
the band, right?
Did they have other songs besides "Carry On My Wayward Son" and
they didn't.
Dust in the Wind?
Just were the two big songs, and then there was other things. Like quite a few years ago now, like maybe 4, 3, I don't know, whatever. Even when I saw them, they had a couple of younger guys.
Oh,
younger guy, and he had like black hair, and all the others were like rocking out with their gray hair. And
yeah, I saw Styx, and it was like that too. Yeah, they had replaced some of the ones that had died. They had to bring in some younger stock to pick up the guitars.
What is also sad about that, because these used to be the old rockers, and now they're like they're just sitting back in their chairs. I'm like, I'm doing this, and you're like, yeah, and you're like,
like BB King, he had to like sit down before. I think he died.
Yeah,
and then
it's cool that they're still around, but it was they definitely I felt the age.
You either go out performing still,
or
you have to like quietly retire because of your dementia.
Not everyone believes that. Anyways,
I thought you were going to use Kansas to bring us into what we're talking about today.
Well, no, not I should have. But I really want to talk about childhood here.
Okay.
When I was a child, one of the I grew up in Michigan.
For some reason, I thought you were going to say child abuse.
Nope, no child abuse.
Okay,
I actually had none of that. But when I grew up in Michigan, one of the big stories that every kid would hear was about Paul Bunyan. Do you know anything about Paul Bunyan?
He had a blue ox. I know that.
Yeah, that's that. As children, we would learn a lot more as we ate our pancakes. That was a super normal thing in the Midwest. Growing up in Michigan, that was a thing. And how weird it is to have a legend about a giant in our world that actually grew up as like that was like Midwestern folklore. Right?
How frequently do you think Paul Bunyan came up in your childhood?
Well, I think in a typical Midwestern child, like at least 8 times a year.
That's oddly specific, but more than I would have assumed.
Yeah, it's just like it's part of the culture. You're eating some flapjacks, and we literally had a pancake festival in the town that I was.
Can you think of a similar thing that would get mentioned around here for children, maybe that you would hear of growing up?
Oh,
I don't want to put you on the spot with like some completely unprepared thing. But
well, I mean, but I didn't grow up as a child in a sense.
Right.
So like.
I would think maybe like the 13 Ghosts or something like the 13 Ghosts of Alabama is like
There's 13 Ghosts of Alabama.
Yeah, there's a pretty famous book that went around. I think when I was in elementary school that people talked about a lot. And there's one of them in like the city over from us that you can just like drive and supposedly like go see.
What city is that?
Carrollton.
Ooh.
Carrollton Courthouse. There's supposed to be like the imprint of a ghost in the window.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I would like to see a ghost.
I think that Casey's seen it, but I've driven by it, but it's one of those things is like pareidolia, like you can, you can kind of see it. I don't know if I can see it or not, or maybe it's just like a reflection, but anyway, that was like a local urban legend thing. But Paul Bunyan's like nationwide, though. I thought.
Yeah. Everyone knows about him. I think he's just much more from the Midwest. And I'm gonna make a big jump here and say he was born in Michigan. There is some people who say
Some discrepancy.
there are some people who say maybe Maine, and other people like say Wisconsin and
Dakota, I think.
Yeah, Dakota, the
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
That was it.
French Canadian. But all of them are wrong.
You think he's from Michigan?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I never met Paul Bunyan. After this research, I'm positive he's from Michigan.
I see where the claim from like Michigan and Minnesota are. I don't see the claim from Maine. It's kind of seems like it's out there.
Yeah, guys, you have lobsters. You don't need to
Right. You don't. Yeah, exactly.
Let Michigan have
something. But y'all got the Great Lakes in Michigan, though. So
the Great Lakes made by Paul Bunyan.
Made by Paul Bunyan. Oh, really?
We'll talk about that. So today we need to talk a little bit before we get started. I've chosen a drink for going into Paul Bunyan and maybe some other giants.
Oh, yes. This could be titled
American Giants.
Paul Bunyan and the Giants of North America.
Oh, yeah. I think this is going to be a great episode. So if you are ready, buckle up, get on the shoulders of a giant next to you, and
Put your flannels on.
your flannels on. We need it.
Because we're going to go cut down some trees
The trees of mystery.
and replant them.
Yeah. Johnny Appleseed. So allegedly, the story of Paul Bunyan really found its place among loggers, like
Lumberjacks.
Yeah, lumberjacks.
Yeah.
They'd be sharing these stories, and that would be a great thing to do. At the end of the day, you're like, let's get together. We'll drink our whiskey. We'll have, I'm now thinking of whiskey. Let's make a drink.
Oh, that's a good segue, I
Geez,
think.
my goodness. I can't believe I was about to start a legend without a drink.
Right, especially since the drink today is called...
Yeah, so today is going to be a maple old fashioned made from Canadian maple syrup.
Represent.
Yeah, American bourbon. And this bourbon is actually called Legends, a spirit of the USA. It's literally called the Spirit of the USA.
That's a great title for our episode, but
know.
no affiliation with our podcast.
Yeah,
though.
I feel like we need to get sponsored by you guys.
Yes.
Because, my goodness, we will drink this all episode. It's a small batch 87 bourbon, straight bourbon whiskey. It's a double gold winner.
Does bourbon mean that it's made in Kentucky?
I don't think so.
Oh, for some reason, I thought all bourbon was made in Kentucky.
Me too. But then I found out that doesn't seem so true.
Somebody lied to me.
It's an honest mistake because everyone thinks that.
I hate
but it says
spreading
it's
misinformation.
distilled in Indiana.
Okay. All
So,
right. What goes in an old fashioned?
Okay, so an old fashioned typically is, well, I don't even need to do that yet. It's going to be,
I see we've got an orange out here.
yeah, and we're not going to use most of the orange. We're going to use the peel of the orange. So actually, let's go ahead and make this together. So
The essence of the orange.
honestly, you're using the essence of the orange and not the orange itself.
By the end of the episode, I'm going to be eating that orange.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. So I think you need to because otherwise we'll just have
It'll just go to waste. I'll give it to my
some
son. He likes an orange, I think.
So there's some orange peel. We're going to start with that.
That's the garnish.
It adds. Trust me.
All right.
Adds. Then we're throwing some of our favorite day cherries.
Maraschino cherries.
Oh yeah, we gotta throw one of those at least at first.
Oh, favorite day is the brand. I thought that you were just like saying those were our favorite kind of cherries.
No, favorite day is the brand.
I've never heard of that before in my life.
Yeah. Well,
Do you want any of the juice or like no juice?
I would recommend getting a little bit of it.
Okay.
Actually, go ahead and throw some more in there. So
Okay.
it'll make the drink a little sweeter, but not much.
I'm okay with that.
And then
We like some juice here at Legends and Libations.
yeah, we got to have a little bit. And then I want you to our handy dandy maple syrup right from Canada. I went to Canada. I was gonna say like back from the South Pole. I went to Canada.
Wow.
Makes no sense.
That was a round trip. Or
Yeah,
a
really round trip.
scenic route. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah. I was like, let's go around the globe.
Was that before or after the new tariffs on Canadian imports?
I'm just gonna pour whatever amount that I want in there. I'm gonna pour that much. I think that was a good amount.
Did you manage to not get your hand sticky because there's no way to handle honey? Or wait, this is maple syrup.
This is maple syrup. It's a little easier.
Okay, I hope so.
Make it as sweet as you want, man.
If anyone can invent a way to make honey where you don't pour it and get your hand sticky, you could make $1 million.
Yeah, you could. So yeah, good old, and it's nice Canadian leaf right over there.
I love that. We're gonna save that.
And then
It's like a Christmas ornament.
before we really like put things together, we got to muddle. We got to muddle.
We muddling over here.
We're muddling. We're getting down. We need this to mix up.
I'm not sure I've ever muddled anything in my life.
Except for into people's like private lives.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, oh, I didn't want to know that.
That's what the Scooby-Doo gang was doing. Those muddling kids, but it is actually middling. I can only make jokes adjacently to things that I don't have any relation to at all.
Yeah. Well, fair. And, we'll add ice after.
Okay.
Oh, whoops. I was trying to take off a lid that wasn't there.
Phantom lid.
And then just a little bit more because that's what's holy. So from here, you're going to throw in some bitters.
Okay. What are bitters?
Yeah. The essence of things. Honestly, they're like essence. That's what they are.
Oh, man.
Yeah, bitters are great, but they really literally are like the essence of like orange and other spices.
This is an involved drink.
Oh yeah, very. Little stir.
This has a very Legends and Libations cover on it too.
I know. I love the way bitters looks. I'm just like, you look amazing. Bitters. And then, just for the heck of it, a lot of times, throw a little cherry as a garnish. I know we just muddled one up in there, but that's what you do.
It's good to have an intact one too.
Yeah, soak up the alcohol, right?
Right. All right, dude.
Okay, here's our legendary maple old fashioned.
Maple old fashioned. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Oh, I like that.
Holy crap.
That's good.
I could drink like 50 of these.
Please do.
Oh my God.
Be my guest.
That's great.
How would you describe what it tastes like?
You like an old fashioned with a hint of maple. So this bourbon is very good. It's smooth. It's not like
I'm not a bourbon connoisseur, so
it's not like, oh my God, this is amazing. But it's like, this is pretty good. Pretty good bourbon. Easy one to share with people.
Easy one to take a drink of by itself.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
And then this old fashioned is just freaking delightful.
I'm not sure how I feel about drinks, and this is not just this drink, but this is like other beverages as well that aren't big by volume. And so you're supposed to like to drink them slowly. Because I'm really, really bad at drinking a drink slowly.
Good luck.
If it's near me, I'm going to drink it.
You have a water up there just in case.
That's not as near to me as the drink in my hand.
That's the old fashioned. Yeah, maple old fashioned, made with Legends. It's very, very tasty. Well, why did I choose a maple old fashioned, not a traditional old fashioned? Well, again, allegedly, Paul Bunyan was from he was French Canadian.
He was Quebecois.
Yeah.
He was from Quebec.
Quebec.
Yes. Quebecois. I think that's how they say that.
But, well, that's just wrong. But just to give, some Canadians their kind of like due, I bought some maple syrup from them. Did you hear that, like, running reel about the United States and Canada being from the same family, but that the parents got divorced? And so the United States got the dad and Canada got the mom.
I've never heard that, but it kind of makes sense.
Oh, right? Like, think about it. You're just like, oh, yeah.
Canada's the mom country. And America is the got to go off to war and kill some things country.
Also, it's like America's like kind of like tough as nails. They, what they tripped, and their dad was like, go spit in it and get over it.
Yeah.
And then Canada was like overly coddled.
And they're like here's healthcare. You can have healthcare to go with that. And America's like,
healthcare.
Tough luck.
Tough luck. I'm going to make my own fortune. Gold mines.
Do you want us to be Mexico? All right. So did Paul Bunyan enjoy old fashions as well?
We will get to that.
Oh.
But I'm going to say absolutely. So, yes, Paul Bunyan was definitely known for his strength, his speed, and his skills, but particularly in lumber or lumberjacking. He was born in Michigan.
Origin story.
Yeah. Here's the origin story.
Okay.
Paul was very large at birth. He literally was so heavy that 5 storks had to take him to his parents.
Wow.
Yeah, 5 storks.
Imagine the shipping costs on that.
Amazon would charge you an arm and a leg. You're not going to get that with Amazon Prime.
No, definitely not.
No. And even when he was only a few weeks old, he was already 99 pounds. It says 45 kilograms. It's about 99 pounds.
Speaking of 99, we would like to mention that we currently have 99 subscribers on our YouTube channel. And so we're looking to hit that 3-digit mark.
Yeah, get us to 100. If you haven't subscribed to Legends and Libations and you like us, I don't know. I think you should subscribe because good things are coming.
This is where competent YouTubers put up a chart that says only 25% of you are subscribed to our channel, and here's a graph about it, but we don't know even how to access that kind of information.
Yeah, we don't even. I know, like,
I see the number, but that's it.
Yeah, I'm like, I know a lot more of you guys are listening, so go ahead and press that subscribe.
We appreciate it.
We appreciate it, and it really. I'm excited to get to 100. We're like right there, right there. Jeez.
And by the time this episode comes out, we're going to go ahead and plug this. There will be not one, but 2 Legends and Libations shirts available, and we will throw the link up there.
Yeah.
That you could purchase if you are a fan of the show. And we've got one coming for ourselves too. Yeah. But we had to wear the flannel for Paul Bunyan today, though.
It's important.
Yes.
So when he was also a kid, it would take 10 cows to supply the milk for his meal.
I imagine. Doesn't surprise me.
Before long, he would eat 50 eggs and 10 containers of potatoes every day.
50 eggs?
50 eggs.
Wow. Imagine
in this economy.
With the egg shortage going on. Eating you out of house and home.
Literally. When he would roll over as a baby, it would create a small earthquake. And the neighbors would get pissed at them. They're like, take your son and get out of here. And so they tried to water. They're like, let's have like I don't know how they had it.
They tried water?
Yeah.
What does that mean? They tried drowning him? That's what it sounds like.
I think
that lady that drowned her kids in the tub. This one. I don't know why I'm laughing about that. But anyway, so
they tried water.
Waterbed.
Yeah, waterbed.
Something like that.
But it would create tidal waves. Inconvenient. So they decided, okay, well, we're going to move to the forest where no one's around.
Smart move.
Paul, he loved nature. After that, he hung out.
So did he drop out of school to like go live in the woods, or was
probably never went to school.
The buses probably don't run.
Yeah, they don't run into like forest America.
I don't know if he could even like fit really.
Yeah, he's not going to school. He has too many other things to live for.
That's true.
He's absolutely legendary. So, when his biggest hobby as a kid.
Cutting down trees.
Exactly. He just cut trees. He was like, that tree, a chop. That tree, a chop.
He's like that kid that you see throwing knives in like the trailer park. He's always throwing knives at something.
That is Paul.
Mm-hmm.
But like
with an axe instead.
With an axe. Yeah. They say that even as a kid, whenever he would go to turn off the light, like to go to bed, he would race the light and be in bed before it got dark.
What does that mean?
So like when you turn the light switch or when you blow out a candle, he'd be in bed before it got dark.
So he's faster than the laws of the speed of light?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really fast.
That is fast.
So by the time he's like a nice like preteen, he's already clearing a forest in one swipe.
That's crazy.
I feel like maybe he's bigger than life a little bit. Like, how
he's a
big is
larger than life
Yeah,
sort of
like
guy.
he's so huge. Okay, so one day he's like hanging out alone because he's not allowed to be by people, and
everybody's scared of him.
Everyone's
probably.
scared of him.
Yeah.
He's like Hercules from the Disney one. Everyone's like, "Oh, Paul, get away, get away!" And
that never made sense to me why they didn't want to hang out with Hercules. I mean, he was a very nice guy, and
he was so nice.
He could be really helpful to your group too.
Yeah, he just was a little clumsy.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like that's like Paul's situation.
That was just puberty, though. I think.
Yeah, once he got through puberty, which by the end of it, he got over it.
Right, exactly.
He's like, I'm 20.
You just gotta stick with it.
So he would but he was like kind of being that lonely kid with no friends. And one very cold day. In fact, it was so cold that the birds flew backwards and the fish swam south.
I understand the fish swimming, but I don't think I understand the birds swimming backwards.
God, I don't know either. Like I'm literally like, what does that mean? But that's like how the legend goes. Is it was so cold that the birds flew backwards and the fish swam south.
That's awesome. How cold is that? There's no way that's colder than Antarctica.
I think we're looking at Antarctic
levels of cold.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was so cold that the snow itself was blue.
I see that.
Yeah. And Paul was like, "Yeah, I'm going to go outside." He's just like, "Yeah, I love outside." So he's
give me my flannel. I'm going outside.
Give me my flannel. He's like, "Yeah, I'm out." He's walking around and he hears something snorting. He's like, "Is that a hog?" He's looking. No, he doesn't find a hog. Finds a little baby blue ox that's trying to get over a hill but can't.
Was it a regular colored ox and the snow dyed it blue?
well, this is what happened. It was blue because it was so cold.
Uh-huh.
So he took it in his large arms and said, "Come with me, baby ox."
That's so cute.
And then he took it to the fireplace, let it warm up, got all fluffy, but it was literally dyed by the coldness blue. So the ox was blue.
So he has a gentle side.
Oh, he has a very gentle side. He
I see
loves
that.
nature, and he gave the ox the name Babe.
He cares for the living things,
Oh,
except
yeah.
for he cuts down the trees.
Yeah,
There's a little bit of a paradox.
yeah. We're
there, I
gonna
see.
talk about that,
Okay.
because that is one of those paradoxes that we're like. At this time in the United States, it is a majority forest, and civilization is not in most of it.
What time in the United States are we talking
We're
about?
talking 1700s.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yep, maybe 1800s.
That sounds about right. So logging was pretty big when you had an abundant forest that you haven't just destroyed
you
1,000 times
haven't
over.
dismantled it yet.
Yeah.
Now, Babe was also kind of one of those. Like at first, it was like I'm a little baby ox. But like this, it was this one day that like it started just growing. Like anything in his camp would grow, and he was like, "Okay, well, you can't stay in the house anymore. You're getting too big."
I don't know if we'd have an ox in the house anyway.
Yeah, right.
Imagine the mess.
He makes a barn and puts it in the barn. The next day, he looks outside and the barn is missing.
Is it destroyed?
No, it's missing. So he looks around and he finds a valley, and there he sees Blue with literally the barn on her back.
Oh no! So
his back.
The barn moved because he kept growing.
Yeah, he kept growing. He
I
kept
see.
growing. He was so big also in Paul's camp that this is how they did measurements, which I thought was weird. 42 axe heads and a plug of tobacco fit between his horns.
Is it just what you have lying around? I've got 42 axes, and hey, Jimmy, give me your chewing tobacco.
What is a plug of tobacco? How do you measure that?
I have no idea.
And then one also said a murder of crows would fly from one side to the other, just to get air in like a day.
I love how they call it a murder of crows.
Right.
It's probably one of the best names for a group of animals.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing. But they would also put their laundry up on or his horns.
That's funny.
Because it's just like, why not?
He's multi-purpose.
Yeah, he would use clips to like literally itch himself because like he couldn't use anytime he used a tree, the trees got scared and fell over.
Did they use him to like do farming stuff at all?
Oh nope, they used him for logging.
Okay. Like hauling the logs out and things like
I'll
that.
explain.
Okay.
It was used for good things. He took 30 barrels of hay, wire and all, but the men afterwards would get the wire out of his teeth.
Smart.
6 men would. A ton of grain, and then even after eating all of that, he would still bother sourdough Sam.
What is
Some snacks.
What is sourdough Sam?
Sourdough Sam is one of the alleged guys that was in the camp of Paul Bunyan.
Okay.
But we'll talk more about him.
I can't imagine what he has to do with.
So Babe would help him often. Like whenever there was like a road that was really twisted and turning, he would tie the road to Babe and Babe would straighten it out. So that they could get more logging done.
Right.
And sometimes there'd be like 2 miles of road left because of all the straightening they did. So they would go back into like the country and like build more roads.
Build more road.
Yeah.
Wow. That is really efficient.
Yeah, yeah.
Shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line.
Yeah, exactly. And Blue or Babe fell in love with another cow called Bessie.
Was it a regular size one?
It was Bessie the yellow cow.
Oh, never.
Yellow cow. Sorry,
Never
yellow
heard of
cow.
this. Okay.
And she also got very big. And she got so big that from across the camp, she would tickle people with her eyelashes.
That's so cute. Well, how does she become yellow? If
I don't know. I don't know. There
was it the yellow snow? I don't know.
There was nothing else about Bessie. Nothing special about Bessie.
They had to cut that part out.
Yeah. But yeah, one winter she was so sad because she was so hungry, which I get. Yeah, or he. Sorry, I keep on calling Babe she.
Hunger depression.
Yeah. It's so tedious. Hunger
I
depression.
think they call that malnutrition, but I'm not sure.
But one of the blacksmith, his name's Ole the blacksmith. He would he put green goggles on her so that she thought everything was like could eat it, and so she just ate, or he ate everything, and then all of a sudden like
that's a really smart idea.
happy. Yeah,
That's how they put the VR goggles on cows in Russia to like make them feel like they're not in Russia, and they make more milk when they're happier.
Oh,
So they have like an Oculus sort of thing that they put on their cows in some places. where it's like really dreary outside. Yeah, so
That from Paul Bunyan.
it makes them happier.
Yeah, that's exactly that.
Wow.
This is where Michigan used to be a lot of land, just like the rest of the middle of America. But to feed or to give enough drink to Babe, he dug out the Great Lakes.
That's smart.
So, like, the middle of America is very flat.
That's what I've
Very
heard.
flat, and there's not very many lakes. So this is my argument for why Paul Bunyan actually was in Michigan, because Babe needed to drink. Babe needed to drink water, and there's not huge lakes out there. And for as big as Babe is, there needs to be some big lakes. As for as big as Paul is, there needs to be some big lakes.
Right.
So
Where does he take a bath? Like,
yeah, exactly. So allegedly, the Great Lakes themselves around Michigan were dug out by him to give Babe water.
that's smart.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
You gotta stay hydrated when you're cutting down so many trees
Yeah. I mean, exactly.
and straightening out roads.
Yeah, they're working all day. And so his crew, he had a crew with him. He had a camp. His camp was called the Big Onion Camp.
Wow, was it called the Big Onion Camp?
God knows, I don't. His crew became known as the Seven Axemen.
Were there 7 of them?
Yeah, there were 7 axemen. There's other parts of the camp, but there's the 7 axemen that go out each day.
Well, I mean, there's all the other guys that signed up to be loggers, but then they got there and they ended up just like taking care of a big ox instead.
Exactly. They're like, well, we're flossing the teeth of a big ox.
Yes, and we're shoveling out the stable or the barn.
So each man that was on his crew is more than 2 meters tall.
Gotta be.
You have to be. And they weigh at least 160 kilograms, which is 353 pounds.
It's good. I'm glad you had the conversion for us.
353 pounds. All of the axemen were named Elmer, though.
Why?
So that when Paul said, Elmer, come here, all of them would come at once.
That's like an old man who gets the dog and names the dog the same thing because he can't remember which dog he's on, so he just calls the dog the same thing over the time.
That's exactly what's happening here. Other people, that there was a servant boy that was part of it. I don't know anything about him. Only that it took him a long time to run from one side of the table to another.
They tried to like get rid of that part of the story.
Yeah, get rid. He also had Sourdough Sam, who had one arm and one leg.
I think that would inhibit his ability to make some sourdough.
Oh, he only used sourdough on everything except for making the coffee.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm glad he didn't use it on there. There was also Brimstone Bill, who helped him tame Babe.
What did Brimstone Bill do with the brimstone?
Well, I don't know if he actually. I think maybe
Was he like a big smoker or something? Oh, okay, I see.
I don't know. And then their blacksmith was Big Ol. Just that's it. Just Big Ol.
Big ol'.
Yeah.
Someone got interrupted in the middle of coming up with a nickname. They were just like, Big ol'. Then
That's
just let
the
it
guy.
trail off, and then that became the nickname itself.
You know that Sourdough Sam later became the mascot to the 49ers.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What is the 49ers mascot? Sourdough Sam. Yeah, but what does he look like?
He changes. He used to have a beard, but now he just has a big chin.
Okay.
He looks stupid.
49. Is this something to do with like gold or something like that?
Yeah. They connect him to gold. I'm like, come on, Sourdough Sam isn't about gold. He's about cutting down trees.
Wood, cutting down trees. Yeah.
Often Sourdough Sam would make such good hotcakes or pancakes on Sundays but they were so huge. It would take 5 men to eat one hotcake.
Wow.
But Paul himself would eat 10. And we used to have a pancake festival in my old town when I was a kid in Michigan.
What did the pancake festival entail?
Eating a lot of pancakes.
Okay. Was there like a contest to see? Like,
Yeah. In the morning, like all of us would get there and we'd eat as many as we could. I was a kid, so I never ate that much.
How many pancakes did the person who ate the most eat?
Oh, like
Was there like a standard size that the pancakes had?
the pancakes were like
Okay.
like they were big.
They were big pancakes.
They were plate big.
Uh-huh.
I was a kid, so they might have been bigger than I thought.
They might have been smaller than you thought. Yeah.
I think that the one year I remember there was a guy who ate like 23 of them.
Okay, that's a lot.
But that's like kid memory.
Right.
And I don't know if I trust it.
I love the concept of an eating contest. So I think that we should bring those back and they should be like more prevalent.
I was working one day at one of my old jobs when I was a bartender, and for some reason we had a hot dog eating contest online or on TVs everywhere. And it was like disgusting.
Oh yeah,
It was foul.
I used to watch that, but I want to say the guy's name that was the winner back in the day, maybe currently, was like Joey Chestnut, and the record was probably like 55 or 60. But then there was some other guy was like Kobayashi maybe, and he'd be in the 50s or like right on his heels the whole time.
So what happens in Paul and his group is they're logging so well, and they're creating like new roads into places that have never been logged before, and they're making so much money that he needs to get a really good tax man.
Oh, accountant.
Yeah, he needs a great accountant.
All right.
He needs one. So he finds a guy named Johnny Inkslinger.
Sounds legitimate.
Yeah, Johnny Inkslinger is just the best around. Such detailed records that he uses up to 9 inkwells a day.
Wow.
And gets every detail.
Inkslinger sounds like he might be like a forger.
I'm not saying he's not.
He's gonna duplicate some documents.
Yeah. Other things that is known to happen in the camp. The blacksmith, Big Ol. Big Ol. He one time accidentally cut a dog in half.
Oh,
and what he did?
Why are we laughing?
This is terrible. He was like, oh,
sewed
shit,
it back together.
He sewed it back together, but he did it upside down on accident. So like it was twisted.
What in the world?
Yeah. So but the dog was like happy as ever, and it'd run on its front legs, and then when it got tired, it'd run on its back legs.
I was wondering which way it ran.
Literally the dog is named Sport.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's only like 10 names you could pick for a dog, and that's one of them. We talked about this in another episode, I think.
You don't have that many options. There was one night that there was these giant mosquitoes that were attacking their camp.
I've heard of these giant mosquitoes before.
These giant mosquitoes were horrible. And so Paul is like, you know what? I'm going to talk to the honeybees. I'm going to get the honeybees to help me out.
To attack the mosquitoes?
Yeah, to attack the mosquitoes. So he's like, hey, honeybees, you're very big also. Let's attack the mosquitoes.
They're like, what's in it for me?
Yeah, well, they're like, yeah, sure, we'll help you. They go to the mosquitoes, fall in love with the mosquitoes, and create some weird hybrid.
Murder hornets.
Yeah, murder hornets. Damn murder hornets. And they start attacking the camp again. All the murder hornets, the offspring of mosquitoes and honeybees, start attacking the camp. They wage a war all night.
What happens?
Paul and his men come out victorious. The axe men.
Were they just like... like all night, or
they must have been. I wonder how big were they? Were like they
could have used the axes, maybe.
Yeah, giant mosquito. I mean, they're armed and they're giants. So and every man's at least 2 meters tall. So they're gonna win.
Have you ever used one of those like bug assault rifles? It's like a rifle that shoots salt. It's meant for hitting flying insects.
No.
I really want to get one of these. I've never. It's about $50 though. I haven't just like spent $50 on it because it's kind of a frivolous purchase. But you load this gun with salt and it's like a rifle and it has like you can get one with a laser sight on it and it's for shooting flying insects in your house.
Kind of dark, but kind of adorable.
I want to get one to shoot the cat with when he misbehaves.
Stop it, cat.
Yes, and don't report me for this. He is actually a really bad cat, and he deserves to be shot a lot of the time. He does unspeakable things to our other cat that I can't talk about on the air.
They're so horrid.
They are.
I think that you might have a possessed cat.
Yes, that's
he
why.
Might be. He might be. I'm saying.
That's why the black ones don't get adopted.
So the winter was so bad here. I've already told you, birds are flying backwards, fish are swimming south. But one of the big things that happens is there's one winter that they can't even talk to each other. Because
the sound waves freeze in the air.
Yeah, the words literally freeze in the air. Yeah, literally.
Oh, wow. How did I guess that? That's funny. I'm going to make another drink for the sound waves freezing in the air.
You have to. So that is
before the drink freezes.
There's something I think you'll really love about Paul Bunyan, though. Besides the fact that he made the Grand Canyon, also made quite a few other lakes. Something he is known for, him and Babe would... Actually, they're the reason golf exists.
Oh, I love golf.
Yeah, I thought you would love this. I thought you would love this.
How did they make golf?
So it all started off with when he was bored because they would get their work done so quick.
I imagine so.
So quick. And so he would often have a lot of leeway and a lot of time. And so he and Babe would go walk and he would grab like a small boulder and he'd start hitting it with
the axe.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Hit it with the broadside of the axe.
Yeah.
And he started like making goals. Hey, I'm going to hit it over there.
That's
I'm gonna
cool.
hit it over there. And you can actually still see, apparently you can still see some of his tees, which people confuse for trees. But apparently he left some of his tees out. One on County Road 11. And the
In
other,
Michigan?
Yep. And the other is on Route 66.
Heard of that.
But there's a legend that the eagles used to think, oh, we'll make a nest there, but they won't because the taxes are too high.
How much of that do I use?
Like as much as you want. Like that.
What does it taste like by itself?
I'll taste it.
Okay.
What do bitters taste like by themselves?
They live up to their name.
They're bitter. I want to taste. Tastes like essence of orange.
It's like a concentrated. It's like if you took some of that like potpourri stuff and like put it in your mouth. You know what I mean? Like those like little shavings of smelly things that they put in the bathroom to make the bathroom smell good. If you made that into a tea and boiled it down, it would taste like that.
That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. So him and Babe would go and they'd just go hitting balls around, and Babe would go retrieve them, even from lakes. Babe apparently was a good swimmer.
He probably didn't have to swim very much if he was that big because he would just touch the ball.
Yeah, exactly. I did a double shot.
Oh,
well, like kind of what you're doing.
Perfect.
Well, that's actually probably a lot more than what I did, but that's fine.
I'm going to put a lot of ice in it.
Yeah. Okay. So, and eventually all of his men also wanted to go with him, but they couldn't keep up with him because they would get tired. So,
have you ever walked playing golf, dude? Just really tiring.
Yeah. Well, that's why they limited it to 18 holes. Because everyone else would get tired because he would just keep going across America.
I always wanted it to be more than 18 holes. I imagine if I was really small.
Bitters in my beard.
Beard, you've got beard bitters.
Beard bitters. Rawr. Anyways, so
if a giant was playing 18 holes and I had to walk to catch up with him, then I don't think that I would want to play any more than that.
Yeah, probably done with 18 holes. So yeah, he allegedly, not the Scottish, but Paul Bunyan created golf.
I wonder what his handicap is. If you can explain handicap, put it in the comments.
The tribes, the natives, would not play with him because they were too busy. Like he always wanted to get the natives to play with him from this and whatnot, but they wouldn't play because
it's unfair.
Probably.
Yeah.
But they said that we have too many real things to do. They would tell them we have too many real busy things. And so they never went with them.
Like fighting against other tribes and building some mounds.
Yeah. These were like very often legends we'd hear as kids.
Okay.
These were ones that floated around.
I like how there's like a continuation or like a whole like mythos, a library, a plethora of stories that go with him.
Well, there's not.
It's sort of like Chuck Norris in the sense of like they're just like one-offs and stuff like that.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of one-offs and like there's probably even more like that were like.
How did you find all of these? Did you know these personally?
Some of them I know, like definitely the Flapjack one, Babe and the Blue Ox, where she came from, where he came from.
Well, I see why you wanted to do Paul Bunyan now because you knew stuff about him.
Yeah, like it was a childhood.
When you said that to me, I was like, "There's not going to be anything to find about this."
But there's a lot of people who wrote on him. And now, one thing that I didn't hear about often was his death.
Of course,
no one likes.
They're not going to tell you that as a kid.
I don't know why, because I could handle it.
We were trying, Cassie and I were trying to get Casey's attention the other day. And
how did that go?
She never looks at us when we're doing fun things or being entertaining. And we were reenacting all of the most epic deaths in kids' movies.
Oh,
and I was just to try to get her attention. And I was like, all right, here I am. Here's Mufasa. Scar, you're Cassie and your Scar. You're throwing me off the couch. And is this the cliff with the wildebeest? So I looked up like what the most dramatic deaths in kids' movies were. And it was a lot of stuff like that. But anyway, this is like a useless tangent. So go ahead.
No, it's perfect. I think I was surprised because I never heard how he died. I always just assumed he was like kind of like.
He wasn't on that list. That's my tie-in.
Yeah, exactly.
There was no Paul Bunyan death on that list.
No one's talking about the death of Bunyan. Well, that's because in some ways,
Bambi's mom was on there. Yeah.
God, Bambi's mom. My grandfather literally was a hunter, and he would cry at that point.
Wow.
because it's so touching. Well, also
It brought him back. It brought him back to that time
Yeah.
when he killed Bambi's mom personally, probably.
Yeah.
He's like, they documented it and now everyone knows.
Now he's like sad about it.
It's in the credits, but you just gotta like pay really close attention. Jesse's grandfather killed Bambi. Jesse's grandmother in Return of the Jedi.
He loved nature, but he also loved hunting. Hunting and fishing were his things. He was like Hemingway.
Such an interesting paradox of hunting and loving nature.
Oh, every hunter I've met though
Loves nature, yeah.
and they're true. And so maybe we got this.
All the lumberjacks love nature
the
too.
forest. Yeah, love the forest, and so maybe that's
I
what.
just want to bring it home with me. Whack.
Let me bring this tree home. I love it so much. It's just like marriage, right? Like you're like, I love you so much, I want to bring you home with me.
Exactly.
That's just what they did with nature. Oh yeah.
I think that's more like kidnapping. I don't know about marriage.
Yeah, so I didn't ever know what happened to Paul Bunyan.
Did you find out in your research?
Oh, I did.
Should
I will tell you after I get some ice.
Do I need to grab a tissue?
No, it's so sad. Yeah.
It'll be hard to make me cry,
okay.
dude.
You'll be okay.
I can't think of many movies that I've cried at.
Really?
Well, not to say that I'm like too tough to cry or anything like that. Just like
about a lot of movies. Sometimes I'm like, man, that's beautiful.
I think I avoid those movies beforehand by not watching them at all.
I tell my tears to come back. I'm like, stop it. Be a man. So Blue, or Babe, the Blue Ox. Sorry,
Blue.
He has so many names here. Blue died in South Dakota. One of the stories suggests that he ate too many hotcakes.
Wow,
Had a heart attack.
that will do it to you.
Paul buried his old friend there in North.
It's like that guy who died doing the Krispy Kreme challenge,
Exactly.
where he did the marathon where you run like half of a marathon and then it's a 5K. Sorry, you run like half the 5K,
terrible.
then you eat a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts and then you run the other half of the 5K.
Holy crap! Why would you do that? You were gonna like die.
Yeah, some guy did.
Well, bad.
They probably signed a waiver though.
Yeah, jeez. So you can find Babe's burial place. It's called the Black Hills.
Just all of them.
All the Black Hills. No, the ones in South Dakota. Allegedly, Paul Bunyan actually made North and South Dakota the plains.
Together or separate?
He made them to be the plains.
Okay.
And so that there would be farmland. Because he's like, we need to keep a lot of forest, but these areas can be the farmland, which then led to the Dust Bowl, but we're not going to talk about that here.
I thought the Dust Bowl was like more south, but
It could have been.
I really don't know much about the Dust Bowl.
We don't know about this. This isn't our legend.
No, I couldn't even tell you what century the Dust Bowl was in.
Time ages ago.
Dust Bowl sounds like a brand of vacuum cleaner.
So some say that Paul was last seen in Alaska.
Or where you bring all your vacuum cleaners to like a competition. Call it the Dust Bowl.
Dust Bowl.
Yeah. Anyway, so he was last seen in Alaska.
Some people say he was last seen in Alaska or the Arctic Circle. Not the Antarctic Circle, but
Right.
the
The
Arctic Circle.
Arctic Circle. He's on that North Pole.
The
looking for Santa Claus.
Minnesotans are like, no, he comes here every summer. But we don't trust people from Minnesota.
They say that he made all the lakes in Minnesota, but there was like 1,000 lakes.
Yeah. Well, and also like they also say he comes every summer. Oh yeah, where is he? Huh?
Is he like
Minnesota?
summer Santa Claus?
You better be good. It says the Paul Bunyan.
Paul Bunyan's gonna chop you with his axe.
According to the actual folklore, though, Paul Bunyan is said to have died in a brawl.
Really? How could he possibly have got killed in a brawl?
He got struck in the back of the head with a mallet, which is often
It's a weak spot, you know?
Yeah. Apparently, this happened in Bay City, Michigan, during a lumberjack fight.
Wow.
There was a big lumberjack fight.
There's like
in Bay
one
City, Michigan.
group of lumberjacks like goes and attacks another group of lumberjacks.
Like, you're taking all the woods,
all the territory. Yeah, this is our forest now.
Yeah, we're gonna take this.
Wow, but being a lumberjack would be really more exciting if like you get into a war to the death with competing lumberjack companies.
Yeah. So this comes to like a really strange, interesting space in which Paul Bunyan, is he a legend? Is he based off of someone real? Historians say he's based off of true people.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. I mean, he's big.
I mean, by the size. Yeah, exactly.
The size of it. One of them is a real lumberjack named Fabian Fortiner.
Wow. I like the name Fabian.
Yeah. He died in Bay City, Michigan, in a brawl.
So there's a tie in there.
Yeah.
He was a lumberjack too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was a French Canadian timberman who moved south after the Civil War.
I like how they have all these alternative names for lumberjack, like
Yeah.
timbermen,
Yeah, right.
loggers. We just cut down some trees, guys.
We're just tree cutters. This guy in real life was known to have 2 complete sets of teeth, which he would bite off hunks of wood and rails with.
Do you mean like double rows of teeth?
Yeah.
That's interesting because we're going to talk about some accounts of giants that they had double rows of teeth too.
Yeah, this is interesting because this is like actually recorded in history. This is who Paul Bunyan allegedly was. In his spare time, he enjoyed drinking and fighting at the bar. Like he enjoyed doing that.
American pastimes.
One November night, it was 1875. That's when he was notoriously murdered in the lumber town of Bay City because he got in a fight with, and so he hit him with a mallet.
It's a low blow, the back of the head.
Low blow. Fabian stood above, like the average man was about 5 feet tall, and he stood 7 feet.
That's pretty tall for
That's
the time.
pretty tall. Yeah. So and that's fitting the rest of the axemen, the Elmers.
Right. That's true.
So one of the other characters that he is connected to.
Well, it sounds like there's the area around Paul Bunyan gets affected by his like magical qualities, sort of like they grow too. So
Everyone grows with him. Everything in his camp grows with.
It'd be easy for one of his camp people to be mistakenly identified as him later on.
Yeah.
Because they were taller as well.
And maybe they didn't want to name Elmer. Maybe they went with Fabian.
They have to distinguish themselves.
There was also another French Canadian hero after the Papanua Rebellion in 1837. Apparently, his name is, it looks like Bunyan.
Bon Jovi.
Yeah, Bon Jovi. Bon Jovi. Which comes out somehow, Bunyan, but I'm not sure how. Because it looks like
it's
Bon
French,
John.
probably.
Yeah, it's French,
Yeah.
you know. And he was apparently a rebel who, after the
Rebellion.
after the rebellion, was like, "Yep, I'm going to become a logger."
Gotta blend in.
I didn't really feel like that one was really as exciting, and they just kind of loosely connected the name. I'm like,
I barely see the connection at all.
yeah, exactly. I was like, this one doesn't feel very strong, but he was a North American logger. And he was a great hero
In the rebellion.
in the rebellion, which doesn't feel strongly connected to Paul Bunyan. But again, apparently, Paul Bunyan is Paul Bunyan in French. I think they're just trying to.
It's a stretch.
And it's in 1837. I think it's just the Canadians being jealous of us as usual.
Trying to
Trying to be like, look,
yes.
look.
Trying to commandeer our folklore over there. Mm-hmm.
Damn it.
We don't want that. Yeah.
Canadians.
Yeah.
Paul Bunyan's stories were made popular by William Lawhead in 1880.
This is the guy who wrote the pamphlets.
Yeah, he wrote the pamphlets,
this is what I found.
It was much more It was already popular by logger communities before that.
I was curious about that.
So because he was always cutting down forest, and eventually that became a big no-no, apparently legends like Johnny Appleseed and Smokey the Bear became popular in replace of Paul Bunyan.
These are like the opposite moral instilling legends to tell the kids. It's like, okay, well, we don't need to go down and chop down all of the forest or we're going to have no forest left.
Yeah.
I hope they don't hear about Paul Bunyan in the Amazon because else we're all doomed.
No Amazon.
Yeah, exactly. And if the Amazon goes, we all go because it's like responsible for like most of the oxygen or something like that.
Unless we get something that eats all the algae too, then we're really dead.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the algae. That's really important.
Algae and
the Amazon. Yeah.
Amazon.
You got to protect those things.
Yeah, don't let no more Spanish Inquisitions there. So that's the Paul Bunyan story.
I like that story, Jesse. Thank you for bringing that. I learned a lot about Paul Bunyan that I never heard of before.
I don't really. There was a lot of points where I thought he was a lot like Hercules.
I see that, like an American Hercules.
Yeah, American Hercules to explain the landscape, and generally he was like a heroic character. He always brought together a team. He never did things alone. He always created community.
I like that.
He built cities.
He was adopting the ox that he finds outside.
Yeah.
Finding him a mate, building him a barn.
Yeah, just a general like good old Midwestern man.
Mm-hmm. I see how it's sort of like a moral tale of its time too. Yeah. Like how you said they replaced it with Smokey the Bear and stuff like that, like more conservationist type things. But like at the time, you would want your son or your like children to grow up to be. I mean, it was good loggers and things like that. Yeah.
And like towns were still being built. The West was still unexplored.
It's like being a fisherman on the coast at the time, because it seems like it's an unlimited resource. It doesn't.
At the time, it truly.
Yeah.
did.
You don't see your impact on it, really.
Yeah, and that was like it's going to grow back.
Right.
Yeah, so that was kind of the concept.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for American Giants, he's the nicest of all of them.
I must definitely agree with that because we let Jesse go with the Paul Bunyan part of this.
So they could wear flannels.
So he could wear flannels. And then I took notes on American Giants, and we have not touched my notes at all.
So
we're,
get your seatbelt on, guys.
if you want to talk about some American Giants, then I've got you. And actually, we have all of North America covered because we're also going to go into Mexico.
From Canada to Mexico.
And okay.
Not going to South America, though, because that's just too much.
All right, Jesse, what did you know about the giant skeleton discoveries before looking at this podcast?
I just knew about Paul Bunyan.
Okay, so Jesse's saying he doesn't know much about the giant skeletons at all.
St. Augustine mentions a giant skeleton in City of God. He mentions giants.
The movie City of God?
No, the book.
Okay.
He wrote
the movie based on the book?
As Rome was falling, he wrote a book called City of God, which is a theological treatise on why Rome was falling and how Christians should realize that this isn't their kingdom. But he briefly mentions the giants that existed in the past. And he talks about these big bones that they found.
Okay.
That's all I know about giant bones.
Is this more about like Nephilim type bones that he talks about?
He probably is connecting it to like Nephilim. He
Okay.
doesn't. I don't know if he says that. It just like he's like, yeah. I think in the old world, giants were like, yeah, those existed back then, or they are a thing, or they're around, but we don't see them.
Since I mentioned the Nephilim, let's go ahead and talk about that for a second, though.
Okay, let's talk about.
Okay, so in Genesis, I want to say Genesis, like, don't quote me on this, 6:4 maybe.
Yeah.
It talks about how the sons of God mated with the daughters of man, and they had offspring that they're going to call the Nephilim.
They call the Nephilim, which are like giants,
which translates to giants, and they like roamed the world in those days, and they were like the men of renown. They're
men of valor. They're men of valor. Which, and if you think about it, what's interesting is they both have the nobility and nature of like the Christian or the Judaic like law, but then they also have the built-in kind of like chaos.
Oh, absolutely.
Chaos creatures.
Because these were like the fallen angels that were doing this.
Yeah, at least, yeah.
And since they were like the men of renown or whatever, it kind of is a really interesting theory. Yes, that's what I was going to say. They're like the demigod. Hercules was like a demigod. He was a hybrid, half god.
The Book of Enoch actually focuses a lot on this, where it's like, hey, these creatures are the sons of the Olympians. This is actually what they are. They're these like half demon gods that are.
Yeah,
they're not.
They're a hybrid.
Yeah, they're hybrid. They're not comfortable in this world, and they're not because they don't belong to it.
And we'll go into later like what possibly happened to them, but I find that really interesting how it's the origin of it comes from the Bible, and you only see it mentioned in the Bible. I want to say it's mentioned twice or three times.
Yeah, you get Genesis definitely, and like Samuel.
We talk about in Samuel it talks about the David and Goliath story.
Yep.
And it says that Goliath, he was like 10 feet tall, possibly about 9'9" or something like that. And it says that he was descended from the Enoch people. Yeah. And the Enoch people were descended from the Nephilim. But what does Enoch sound like? Sounds like Anunnaki, which you hear about from Mesopotamian culture.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that because like the Anunnaki were supposedly like the ones that came from the like the planet Nibiru or whatever, like the planet X.
It's wild.
Yeah, exactly. But then they ended up mating with the humans and having an offspring, and like it just kind of sounds like really similar there.
Yeah.
But we're not focused on all the giants in like the Middle East.
We're ancient giants.
We're gonna narrow our scope here to just North American giants because we're Paul Bunyan and the North American giants today. And so in the 200 years since this country was founded, from like 1776 through like 1930s or so, there were over 1,000 newspaper reports of giant skeletons discovered in America. You can look this up on YouTube and find videos and pictures. It'll just be like boom, 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 like montage, clipping here, post there, New York Times, whatever, Gazette, Phoenix, this, like that. And it's just like giant skeletons found here in these mounds, blah, blah, blah. And it blows your mind to see how many accounts there are. Like 1,000 different ones, not a repeated story. It's like
Just different
accounts from California all the way up to like Pennsylvania and Massachusetts and stuff like that. There are 1,000 accounts of bones being discovered in America, and it is ridiculous.
Everyone's like, I found a bone in my backyard. Pretty positive it's not a cow. It is a giant.
Absolutely. And that probably does account for a lot of it. There are a number of like really famous hoaxes of this, because you know what I mean? Like, no one wants to believe in giants. They don't want to be like, oh, well,
Yeah.
because giants is one of those like paradigm breaking thoughts. You know what I mean? Like, if we accept that there are giants, then we have to accept like other things beyond that, because it's a slippery slope.
It gets really weird.
Yeah, exactly.
Quickly, yeah.
So you have a lot of disproven hoaxes to do with giants. And one of the most famous ones is called the Cardiff giant, where this guy, in order to like win a bet or prove a point, he went and had this like 10 to 12 foot plaster replica of a body made. And he tried to pass it off as a petrified body by burying it on his like cousin's property. And
Why was he so determined for this?
he was in some kind of like theosophical argument with somebody, and I think that he wanted to win, so he had this whole giant thing made and had his cousin like dig a well with quotation marks around it on his property, and he like found the giant or whatever. But then there ended up being some kind of discrepancy about the giant being petrified, and the guy from the Barnum and Bailey circus, like P.T. Barnum, wanted in on the action too. So he like made a replica of the giants. Then you have two fake giants, and they had to go to court. And the judge was like, well, you can't prove that he ripped off of a fake giant because the giant was fake to begin with. So like, I don't know. So you have a whole bunch of like really stupid stuff. Yes. A whole bunch of hoaxes. And like charlatans. Yes. Right.
Not like Paul Bunyan.
You have a bunch of charlatans and like snake oil salesmen trying to get in on the action at the same time. Yeah, there is with any era as well.
Just not Paul Bunyan. Mm-hmm. That's a pancake kind of guy. Hot cakes everywhere.
But
no hoax.
No hoax.
No hoax.
Legends and libations. No hoax. But in the astounding amount of accurate research that we do here at the podcast, that I have actually distilled down to you all of the best giant stories that are not hoaxes. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you about a few of them.
I'm ready.
If you've got some time.
I'm here for the long haul. Good. Until I've drank too much or I can't.
No, you should keep drinking. We should both keep drinking. So the most famous one that I feel like is not a hoax, actually has some legs to it, is called the Lovelock Cave Giants.
Lovelock
Cave. Yes. This is in Nevada. It's called Lovelock Cave. And in 1886,
where's Lovelock Cave?
It's in Nevada, somewhere in like the outskirt. Okay, like it's in the desert. Oh yeah. So there were these guys, and they were looking for bat guano. Do you know what that is?
Yep, gross.
Yeah, because
scientist, right?
No, they were bat guano guys. No, this is their thing, because apparently it's really valuable. You can make like gunpowder out of bat guano. Dude, they have whole islands in like the Pacific that the whole islands are just like for bat guano, and that's the whole economy is based on that, because they go and they dig the bat dung out of the caves. Wow.
I did not know this.
Yeah, bat guano, big business.
I thought they were just weird scientists. You know, scientists are always a little weird.
What's weird is that I feel like it's going to be a trivia question one day. It's like, what is bat guano? So every now and then I remind myself, I'm like, guano is bat doo-doo. And I remind myself of that. And then I end up doing this podcast, and it's like, oh, it's right here in the story. It's the bat guano. It's like foreshadowing. I have really stupid superpowers like that, though. All right. So these guys are excavating this cave where there's like a lot of bat guano, and they start finding Native American artifacts throughout and that comes up in their like sieve thing where they have where they're filtering out the guano, and they find, you know, like your pottery and they find the oldest American duck decoy is in there. There's like a duck decoy that's made out of, I don't know, like reeds or something like that. And they eventually find some mummified remains
of
a person.
Oh,
And the person's like over 6 feet tall. They're like not super tall by any stretch of the imagination.
You're thinking at a time when average person is 5 feet tall.
You're right. Yeah, exactly.
Crazy. That's big.
Yes. So like 5 feet tall. And in the 1500s, the average European white person was like 5.5. So when we talk about some of these giant accounts, that you got to keep in mind that the people were a lot shorter back then. And not a ton shorter, but just like a significant amount shorter.
The average person being a foot shorter than me feels wild.
Mm-hmm. That's true too, because
I don't feel very gigantic. How tall are you, Matthew?
I'm 6'2". How tall are you, Jesse?
6'1".
6'1". Yes.
If I add my hair, sometimes I could be 6'2".
I believe that. I've seen a picture of you with a mohawk, so I feel like you're.
Yeah, I was like 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah, you're like 6'4",
with the mohawk
6'5".
on. Yeah, I got a little taller, but yeah, could you imagine being that much taller than everyone?
I think that would like draw a lot of attention.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
you were a lot taller. So these guys were looking through the back guano and they were finding some stuff. Okay, so it was 4 feet down when they had dug through the guano.
4 feet down guano.
Yeah, they're 4 feet down in this stuff. They're going to get even further down into it.
Damn, that's gross.
Yes, that's where they found the duck decoys, and that's where they found the mummified bodies. But after a while, they were finding so much stuff that they were finding more artifacts than they were finding guano. So they were like sifting through it, and it was all Native American things and not bat droppings anymore. So they were like, okay, well, I guess we're not finding as much like bat guano as we want. We might as well like call some university or something and say, come look at this stuff that we found, because we're finding some pretty interesting things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they called the University of California, and this was in 1912. The first excavation started in 1886. So they've been getting a lot of bat guano out of here for a while.
Yeah.
But in 1912, they finally decided to.
Interesting that 1866 is close to when the Paul Bunyan started coming out. Yeah.
The giant stuff happens around the same time. 1800s, early 1900s is like the prime time for giants in North America, it seems like. So the University of California is like, well, we don't have any like anthropologists or some guys available right now because they're off doing like other not guano related things.
Yeah.
So we can send the security guard out there. He can take a look at it. And if this sounds like the plot of Night at the Museum, it basically is. And I'll show you a picture of the security guard. This is him. I'll put this in the thing.
What a nerd.
I would say like, what an incompetent janitor looking person.
Yeah, they're going to have him like, okay.
Yes. We're like, oh, we found these giant skeletons in this cave. We're going to send this guy out there to look at it.
He's a nerd. He would know about skeletons. He doesn't look like Indiana Jones.
No, he does not. He looks like a nerd.
He looks like a nerd. I met him in math class.
And at the Ren Fair.
And at the Ren Fair.
Yes. He was cosplaying as Worm Tongue or something at the Ren Fair. So they send him out there, and he has like no experience really doing this sort of on the site thing at all. And instead of like,
he's a security guard. Leave the poor guy alone.
Instead of like mapping everything out in like a grid format, like you would imagine where you find like dinosaur bones and stuff like that, with like rope and string. You know how they do it in Jurassic Park at the beginning. He just like randomly digs holes in random places and just like starts digging. But they ended up finding over 10,000 artifacts in the cave. They were not documented very well because of this guy. And in his report, he dug for 4 months. In his report, he included one paragraph about the methodology of like his digging, because he was inexperienced at this. He was there were no details. He was just like, yeah, I just like picked a place and like started digging.
Yeah.
And that was his methodology. Yeah. There were no footnotes and like no citations or like anything.
He's a security guard.
Yes.
Which is interesting because he also looks like a nerd.
Yes, he does. He also looks like he would be a serial killer though, a little bit.
Interesting note there.
One of the things that they find in the cave is a size 29 sandal.
Wow.
For someone who would have been over 12 feet tall if they were like normally proportioned out.
Or they just had huge feet.
Exactly. And they find a lot of bones that it looks like the marrow has been like sucked out of them. And that kind of...
witches.
Yes. Or cannibals.
Oh, there's so much about cannibals.
Cannibals. Yes. And so they start looking into what may have happened at this cave, at this Lovelock Cave, Nevada. And it turns out that this is on the land of a Native American tribe called the Paiute people. And the Paiute people span a big area from like Nevada up almost to Washington. There's actually a North Paiute people and a South Paiute people. And one of their elders had a daughter. Her name was Sarah Winnemucca. And in 1883, she wrote a book about how her tribe of the Paiute people went to war with a race of giants called the Sitika. And the Sitika were supposedly these red-haired cannibalistic giants.
Hate when they're red-haired and cannibalistic.
It's very interesting that they have red hair. They're red hair, and they're also
syrup is great.
Yeah,
Holy
it is.
crap.
It's authentic.
Real maple syrup, guys.
Always get the real maple syrup, not from China, because it'll be diluted.
Yeah, my God, that syrup is great. That syrup is Biodelices. 100% pure organic maple syrup. You're welcome.
Nice.
Half in French. Freaking French Canadians. Damn them. They have good syrup, but not good. We have better whiskey.
I wonder if that syrup tasted good with human flesh,
Oh yeah,
like the cannibalistic giants. So Sarah Winnemucca wrote in her book, and that her people went to war with the race of what she called barbarians, and that there were over 2,600 of them in their tribe that they went to war with.
Wow.
And
it's a lot of people to go to war with.
Yeah, it is, especially if they're giants, and that they were like of such stature that if her tribe shot like a volley of arrows at them, that the giants would just like jump up in the air and grab the arrows and then just like shoot them back at the people.
Are you saying that they're fast like Paul Bunyan?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Like they could go as fast as light. Pow!
You're right.
Pow!
That's a great connection right there, Jesse.
I'm just Paul Bunyan really changed the image of giants for us.
Yeah.
He was such a good, gentle Midwestern giant.
Because you usually think of giants as moving really slowly. You know what I mean? Because they're so big, they're just like,
But these ones actually are like freaky because of how fast they.
Yeah, because they can catch an arrow out of the air. Like, could you catch an arrow out of the air?
Not yesterday.
We could do it here on Legends and Libations.
Legends and Libations.
We're gonna catch an arrow out of the air. Do our own William Tell experiment,
and then we die.
But so these redheaded giants had been like raiding the village of the Paiute people and like taking their women and eating their friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and like they're
as giants do.
As giants do.
Paul Bunyan.
And so they had been warring with them for a long time. The Paiute people had been warring with the Sitika, and eventually it had come down to it was going to be like a last stand sort of thing. They outnumbered the Sitika by quite a lot though. Like, you know what I mean? Like eventually it's like in Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. If you throw enough people at it, eventually
it falls.
Yeah, exactly. Eventually it falls. And the Sitika had taken refuge on this lake because they had built these rafts made out of fuel reeds. It's like THULE, and they were floating on this lake to try to like get out of range from these people because they were relentless.
Yeah, really, yeah.
But they didn't have enough provisions to like live on the lake for an extended amount of time. So eventually they had to make
provisions.
Yes, it's always about that. So eventually they had to make landfall, and so they docked all their rafts, and then they ran really quickly into this cave, and they took refuge in the cave. And the Paiute people boarded up the cave with like wood and brush and sticks and twigs and stuff like that, and they set it on fire. And they were thinking that
I don't know why I'm laughing about that. Terrible.
They were thinking that it was going to like smoke them out, you know, and that they were just going to like start suffocate and smell the smoke, and they'd eventually just be like, oh, well, I'm going to run out of the cave. And they said that before they lit the fire, they were telling the giants that if they abandoned their way of cannibalism, that they would be at peace, that they would just like they make a treaty with them.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah, exactly. Just like stop eating people.
Quit eating people.
Just stop eating our people.
We won't fight you.
Yes, we will not kill you if you just do not eat our people.
Seems very reasonable.
And they didn't respond to that. I don't know if they didn't hear them or whatever, but
maybe a different language.
Yeah, maybe language barrier. But all the giants perished in the Lovelock Cave.
So loving.
Excuse me, exactly. How fitting of a name. But one of the things that they did find when they did that investigation with the California University that I was telling you about was they found scorch marks. Like there were like a lot of scorch marks on the entrance of that Lovelock Cave. So
you think they really suffocated?
I don't know. Like, do you think they suffocated, or do you think they like went into the hollow earth? You know,
we'll have to do an episode on that.
You never know. I mean, hollow earth is going to come up like a lot in Legends, Libation stuff anyway.
Yeah, well, just like Nazis, right? Just like Nazis. That actually reminds me a little bit of there's cannibals. They're everywhere.
Yes.
Cannibals are everywhere. So there's another group of giants called the stony giants or the stone giants.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah. Are they high or are they just made of stone?
I saw some like video clips on like some YouTube videos, and they would have like these giants that are like made out of bits of the mountain.
Yeah.
Is that like what this is like?
Yeah, dude, look at this picture. Look at this picture. And we'll put this up for you guys. I think they kind of look like
The movie
the movie of Where the Wild Things
Are. Yeah, it's like that kid.
Yeah, they look like the kid.
Not the Wild Things. They look like the kid in the Wild
kid.
Things. Yes.
Yeah, in like a costume. But they look like people in a costume that's quite like ripply and thick.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, and this picture, the stonish giants, has a whole bunch of natives running away from them.
I mean, who's to say that the artist wasn't like me and like just like cannot draw at all? So they just did the best that they could at the time, and
they just tried. So this comes a lot from a guy named David Cusick, but he is interviewing the Iroquois Confederacy or nation, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have a legend, the Iroquois. This is up in New York area, right? Upstate New York, not so much New York City, because New York City chased every native person away.
You always have to differentiate when it's not New York City.
Yeah, because New York City is so different. These stony giants were truly the stuff of nightmares for the Iroquois nation. They were covered with a fur that was thick.
Wait, it wasn't stone?
No, this is the weird part. They were covered with a fur that was thick, which is why people think that was confuse them for Bigfoot.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. And so they have a third.
Hairy, like the other giants.
Yeah,
I was telling you, yes,
extremely hairy.
Connection.
Then they have their arrows can't pierce through their hair. They're cannibals.
Whoa, more similarities.
Cannibals who are towering in height and strength, and raided settlements and devoured villagers.
That sounds very similar to the people from the Lovelock Cave one.
Oh, yeah, so much. Some of the legends say there was only one. Most of the legends say that there's a whole race of them. Again, twice as tall as humans.
Wait, we don't know if there's one or if there's a lot.
Yeah, well, one or two legends say there's only one, but then most of them say that there's a whole race of them.
Okay. They
have, along with their hair, they also have rock-hard scales that repel all normal weapons.
Are these under the fur?
I guess. I found it very weird. Mm-hmm. They're associated with winter and ice, which is interesting. They hunt and eat humans.
Ice giants.
Yeah, right.
Uh-huh.
Their stone coats. Some say that they were humans.
So it's stone, scales, and fur. It's everything. It's quantum giant. It's Schrodinger's giants.
I am giant.
Yes.
Hear me roar.
I love it.
Some suggest that they were once human, but then they ate humans and became these things, which is a lot like the Wendigos, but they're not the Wendigos.
I think if you eat humans, that you get prion disease, which is when your brain has like a parasite that gets into it after eating. Mad cow disease it's like a prion disease.
Really?
Yeah, there's some tribe in the Pacific Islands, and Casey's going to kill me if I don't get the name of it right, but oh God, what is it called? Kuru. The Kuru people, or the Kuru disease or something like that, because they resorted to eating their dead and they got prion disease from it and it infected their brains. So
sounds bad.
Yeah, it's really bad.
What does it do? Like, how do you just?
I want to say it's like really slow dementia. Have you heard of the chronic wasting disease that deer get? That's like affecting the deer population.
I'd say, like I heard of that. I've never heard of that.
I think that the deer population is getting something called chronic wasting disease, and it's a prion disease that it takes a long time, almost a decade.
Are they eating each other?
I don't think that the deers is from eating deer.
Because deer usually like.
I don't think that theirs is from eating each other. I think it's a genetic like what do you call it, where they're susceptible like a weakness to something specific.
Yeah,
but. It functions the same way. It eats away slowly at your brain. It lies dormant for a really long time.
I don't want that to happen.
No.
Yeah. So these guys apparently are either closely connected to they're human and then they become these things, or some of them think of them as primordial, like man-eating monsters that were created by Flint.
What is Flint?
I think It probably is a god, but it's also a stone, so I have no idea.
it's like like when you make a fire or whatever, like you flint like that. The shards break off, and they're these giants, the stone giants.
The stone giants.
Yeah.
There is a story about the stone giant's wife, which is kind of a unique story that kind of gives some perspective. There was a hunter, a normal hunter, like a human hunter that was a stone giant. And in that time, their wives would go out with them. And they would hunt, and then they would bring.
How egalitarian of them.
I know, right? Well, their wives would go and clean up their game and like skin it, clean it up, and cook it.
As good wives do.
Get ready. Well, they would go and hunt. They would go forward and hunt. They would go backwards and
clean.
yeah.
They're doing it all.
So there was
take care of the young as well.
there was one chief that went out and he was hunting, and his wife was cleaning. And one day while he was hunting, his wife was cleaning. A giant's wife came.
Another giant's wife.
Remember, this is the wife of a regular person comes to a giant's wife.
Okay, so
Yeah, the regular tribal members have interaction. So, and she's like, I'm running away from my husband.
Wife's
Giant
club.
husband. Yeah. Running away from my giant husband. Let me stay with you. And they're like, yeah, sure. Well, they're not like, yeah, sure. She's like, well, this is kind of, maybe
like
you
Helen Keller it, and they're just like, they figure it out.
But they let it happen. And so for 3 days, she actually she does all the cleaning and cooking for.
Oh, wow.
them, and she does it better.
Of course, because she's a giant.
She's a giant, right?
Was she a giant or was she an abducted person? That was
Giant.
Okay.
Giant.
Okay. So we have
It
that.
says giant's wife. I don't know.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah,
like, is she an abducted giant's wife or is she like a legitimate full-blooded giant?
Whenever the time comes, she's like, hey, in 3 days, my husband's going to come get me. We need to kill him.
How does she know that it's going to be 3 days?
Oh, a witchcraft. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah,
Foresight.
just knows. She's
Yes.
maybe drinking enough whiskey to know things.
Right. Drinking, I know things. I've seen a shirt that says that.
Yeah, well, Game of Thrones, right?
Exactly.
So she's like, hey, he's going to come for me. 3 days. And so they're like, oh, let's prepare. And so for 3 days, they kind of prepare while also hunting.
Why don't they just move, leave?
Well, he's following me, I think. I don't know. Anyway, so she's like, here's how you have to fight him. You pull these arms, put a spear here. Here's his weak spots.
The chink in the armor.
Yeah, here's the chink in the armor. She gives him all of that. You got cherry on my notes.
I'm so sorry, my bad.
What the flip? What the freak? Look at these notes. Cherry stained
It's
notes.
blood for the context.
Blood for context. Okay, so yeah, they're like, he comes 3 days, but they know all the weak spots. Chink, 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 kill him.
Have an unfair advantage.
Yeah, unfair advantage because the wife said, here's how to kill him. And well, then he dies. And they
All's
win.
fair in love and war.
Yeah.
Which is a really stupid quote if you think about it.
Yeah, because it's not all fair, right?
Right, exactly. You can justify anything. All's fair in love and war is like think of the children. You can just say that to justify any action.
Think of the children.
Think of the children. I mean, sorry. All's fair in love and war. Genocide.
Yeah. So she ends up killing. Well, they end up killing him. And now she's free from her giant's husband and can go live life free.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
I don't know because there was nothing about that afterwards.
Well,
She got free. But there was another story in which one of the stone giants challenged the Seneca chief
to an arm wrestling contest?
to a race.
That was close.
Pretty close.
That's funny.
The Seneca chief said, okay, yeah, I'm in. I'll race you.
How do you spell the Seneca chief?
Seneca is Senea.
C-A?
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
Okay. Because when you say it fast, it sounds like Sitica.
Seneca.
Yeah, which was the other race of giants.
No. Seneca chief was challenged to a race by them. Just do as much as you want.
I need to measure for the sake of my sanity.
Yeah, fair enough.
So they were challenged to a race.
Mm-hmm. If you want to make an average one right there, if you want to make a double, which was like 4 shots, you do double. There you go. Because each of those are 2 shots. Solid.
Wait, these are 1.5.
Oh, so
I think.
each of those are 3 shots. You
Yeah.
know that there's not an actual like
No, that's 1.5.
4.5.
No, sorry, 1.5, 1.5 ounces. It's not as much as it seems because it doesn't bow out. It doesn't get wider as much as a bigger size one does.
So one of the interesting things is like there's actually not how much a shot is. In the UK, a shot is like half of the size of an American shot, which is why America is better. but we won't talk about that.
But their legal definition is half the size of an American shot that doesn't have a legal definition.
Yeah.
That's so confusing.
So like, yeah, you go to UK and you get like a 0.5 shot and you're like, man, why don't I feel this at all? Well, you just drank like a little bit of water and some sort of alcohol somewhere in there. Yeah, it's so tedious.
Doesn't surprise me.
You don't get mixed drinks in the UK. You're just paying more for nothing.
Apparently.
They're the same price for less alcohol.
They probably don't even have an ice either. You know how those European places are. They don't give you ice.
So in this race, the Seneca chief is like, I'm going to go ahead and make some moccasins.
Mm-hmm.
And he runs.
For the race.
And he makes some really good ones.
Of course.
Apparently. And he runs and runs. And he's way ahead of the giant. And
sorry, I was preparing. Okay, I'm engaged now.
He's winning.
He's winning.
And his moccasins run out.
What do you mean? They holes in them and stuff like that. Like when my work shoes start falling apart. Yeah. I understand that because my heels hurt, my toes hurt, my arches, kind of no bleeding. Support. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, the giant, for some reason, can't lift his head and look at him. Maybe he's a stone giant, so he's like stiff. I don't know.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so he's like trying to find him. Like he's like, I need to get ahead. So he uses a charm where he pulls out of his pocket a human finger that points him the direction he needs to be going.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, some kind of giant witchcraft.
Wonder what human that finger came from.
Was that like the middle finger or was that pointer finger?
It's definitely the pointer finger. No. Come on, Jesse.
Maybe it's a pinky.
It's pointing you where you need to go. It's the pointer.
I need a pretentious finger.
It makes me think of the what is it called? The thief's candle or whatever, where it's like it's in Harry Potter. He talks about it when Draco Malfoy is at the Borgin and Burke's thing, where it's the candle that only gives light to the person that holds it.
That's super badass.
Yeah. So you put a candle in it and then you light it, but it only gives light to the person that's holding it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. That's something that how it is. But somehow he can't really tell where he is, and he's actually above him.
With his magic finger?
Yeah, with his magic finger. You can't tell. And he's actually above him and is like, hey, I caught you. And he's like, damn it, you found out that I was doing a charm. It doesn't work anymore. You win.
And he just gives up?
Yeah. From that point, he just straight wins.
So it's like on a technicality.
Yeah. He's like, oh, you caught me using a charm. I was cheating. It's like he caught him cheating.
I see.
And so he was like, yeah, okay. But these two little stories,
I mean, was wearing moccasins not cheating? I don't know. Like,
I don't know.
What are the rules for this?
Yeah.
Does any performance enhancing thing constitute as cheating?
Yeah, which is one of the things I didn't like about the kind of like legends is I was just like, why is that cheating?
No, I don't think that's cheating.
Yeah, why is he using a charm cheating but not using moccasins?
We should have established this beforehand.
Yeah, like this should have been the rule.
Mm-hmm.
Either way.
I just thought that lack of oversight at the beginning, really.
Yeah, they should have had a judge. Non-biased judge, a different tribe, who liked giants also.
Yeah.
Had some friends that were giants and had friends that were like Iroquois.
Non-racist judge
who would help.
Third party.
What
do you call that? Like a mediator.
Unbiased.
Something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, completely. That's what we need.
It's hard to find those things. That's what we have AI for now. I'm just kidding. The AI is really racist, to be honest with you.
So bad.
Yeah.
AI says terrible things.
So what does the judge say?
So the judges are like, yeah, okay, well, you cheated and you gave up, so you lose. So here twice we see the Iroquois win against the giants. Last,
so it's like a 3 event sort of competition.
Well, yeah, I guess kind of like again these giants start getting pissed and they're like, we're gonna eat your people.
Always.
Yeah, they're ravenous and hungry, and they're like, we're gonna eat your whole country. Get ready to die. And so the Iroquois come together as a confederacy and drive the monsters back in a long and brutal war.
They drive them west.
Or
probably
north, probably west. I don't know.
Yes.
It doesn't particularly say, but after that, they don't see them anymore, so they win. The Iroquois win.
Right.
Woohoo!
So they're not slaying them, they're driving them away.
Yeah, they're driving them away because they're kind of annoying them.
That's going to come back later into what I want to talk about is driving them west.
Okay, cool. Because I don't know why, because their spears couldn't get through, their arrows couldn't get through. I actually have no idea how they won, because it doesn't say how they won, but only that the Iroquois nation came together and won against them.
Maybe it's just like sheer numbers.
Yeah.
Eventually you can't lay down and go to sleep at night if people are like trying to attack you.
Have a year.
Yeah.
Maybe
mean,
it takes longer.
How big are those babies?
Yeah. Are they? Well, if Paul Bunyan's right, they're born at like 99 pounds.
What's their APGAR score? That's like a thing that they give babies when they're born.
I don't know. I don't even know what that is.
If it's below a certain thing, they have to go in the incubator, and then they're not ready yet.
I was an incubator baby. I think.
You were an incubator baby? You probably had a bad APGAR score then.
Yeah, I must have.
Well, how early were you?
Like 9 weeks or something.
I was a little early too.
I don't know if that's true. I actually need to.
9 weeks is a good bit though.
Yeah, it could have been like 4 weeks. I have no idea. I don't remember. I was
of course you don't remember. You just ask your mom. It's in her journal, dude.
Yeah.
You just told me about the journal.
Yeah, I'm going to say, Mom, how much? It's probably like 4 weeks, honestly. 9 weeks.
4 weeks is about a month, yeah.
Yeah, that seems about true.
Interesting.
Probably why I have like terrible lungs sometimes.
That's called asthma.
Okay, so they drive them to the west.
Okay.
That's all that I have on them.
I like that.
Like stone
That's
giants
cool.
Push to the west.
That fits into other stories that I've got about them being driven to the western United States from Mexico, which I will talk about in a little bit. But first, before we talk about that, I want to talk about something that everyone should know about, but I think is very obfuscated and not taught in schools at all. Jesse, have you ever heard of the Native American city of Cahokia?
No, I have not.
What if I told you that this city was larger than London and Paris at the time?
Then modern?
No, at the time that it existed.
So you think 14, 1500, 1600, 1600, 1700?
Yeah, so the largest, it was mostly populated from 900 to 1300.
Holy smokes. Yeah.
And it was larger than London and Paris was then.
Holy crap.
Yeah, this is
pretty big.
This is in the area of like Illinois and Missouri, where it's just a few miles outside of St. Louis. And it was the largest city ever at the time north of Mexico. It occupied over 4,000 acres, which is about 6 square miles.
What?
Yes. It had about 20,000 people that lived there, which doesn't sound like a lot now, but like back then, that was a good bit.
Oh, yeah. Like when you think an average village of the medieval time, there's like 50 to 100 people.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You're looking at a pretty big space.
They had built 120 mounds.
A lot of death.
Yeah, mounds were a big thing back in Native American times.
Moundville?
Not since I was little.
I want to go.
Let's go. We should go sometime soon.
Yeah.
We should have gone for this. We should have gone for this episode.
Literally,
we should have gone for this episode.
Yeah, my goodness.
It was 7 centuries before there was another larger city in North America than this one was.
Holy smoke!
Yeah, so this is a large city, y'all.
How many centuries?
7. This was in like the 900s to 1300s.
Okay.
It was 7 centuries before like New York and those places
times.
got bigger. Yeah, it was modern times before there was a larger city. Yeah.
Wow.
So like this is the thing that should be taught in schools and like that we should just know the name of like automatically. This is the Cahokia city that was in Missouri, but it was strangely abandoned by 1540. By the time that European explorers reached the area, there was nobody there, and like it was all gone.
Some other disease.
I'm not sure if it was polio or it might have been a riot against the ruling class. Because
very American of them.
Yes, because it had
we're always fighting against the ruling class.
Exactly. It was here before we were here. I would say that we don't fight against the ruling class enough, but we should. We used to.
Our roots.
Yes, our roots. Yes.
The roots of America.
A toast to our roots. Jesse, you need another drink.
I'm getting there. Yes, I do. You're right.
So the tallest mound they built was called the Monk's Mound, and it was over 100 feet tall, and the base was 14 acres large, which here, I'm going to show you one of the pictures that I printed out. And these are, for comparison, this is the Teotihuacan, or I can't pronounce it right there, but it's in Mexico. That's the size of it. This is the Monk's Mound, and this is the Great Pyramid of Giza. I'm going to put this on the screen.
Yeah, this will be on the screen.
Teotihuacan. And the Monk's Mound, the area that it took up was larger than the Pyramid of Giza, or than the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Wow. What's that little thing?
That is called the Etowah Mound, and it is in Georgia. It was also built by Native Americans. Or
I wonder how big the Moundville Mound is.
we should go look at them. But this is a picture from the exhibit in where the Cahokia city is, or like where it is, because I couldn't find like a picture comparison of anywhere. So they have this little replica on display there in their like visitor center. Yeah,
I love visitor centers.
Me too. I'm a big visitor centers person too. They usually have really clean bathrooms.
God, so clean.
Mm-hmm, so clean.
I'm a judge on that kind of stuff. I love clean bathrooms.
Yeah, there's nothing.
I hate dirty bathrooms.
I had an idea for
Judge society on that.
I had an idea for an app one time where you could find the cleanest bathroom. You should just like find clean bathrooms by rating the bathrooms as you use them, and then you'd be able to like find the cleanest bathroom near you if you're like traveling.
It's a good idea.
It needs a name though, so write me down in the comments below.
Yeah, we need some comments. We only had one comment so far, guys. So go ahead and like be a little bit more like engaged.
We're gonna make a Discord soon so we can have some conversation.
Yeah, so if you guys want to talk with us, that'd be fun.
I think that would be good. So at this Cahokia place, you want to say, like, what does this have to do with giants?
Yeah, what's this have to do with giants?
What does that have to do with giants? So
why are you talking about giants and this place?
Okay, so this place, allegedly the ruler of this place may have been a giant. They didn't find his body. The king of Cahokia, he was...
Freaking got syrup on me. It's sticky.
You're getting bitters and syrup in your beard.
Damn it.
Your whole beard is going to be a cocktail before the end of the episode.
Let's get some alcohol in it.
But at this place, Mound 72 that they excavated was allegedly the burial site where the ruler was, and his body wasn't there, I don't think, when they excavated it. Or we're going to talk about what may have happened to his body in a second. But the reason that they knew that it was the ruler is because it was built on, or he was buried with 20,000 shell beads that were in the shape of a falcon. And the falcon...
That is so cool.
I know, it's like Falcon Scott from Antarctica.
I love Falcon Scott. I love his name.
Me too. Yeah, he was kind of lame. But this guy, I don't know if he was lame either, but we'll judge him in a second. But the 20,000 beads were in the shape of a falcon because it represented like power or like divinity. And he had a ceremonial axe head that was 30 pounds, or they say ceremonial, but it might have been a real axe head. You know,
he is Paul Bunyan.
Right.
He's the grandfather of Paul Bunyan.
They have pictures, or they have replicas of the axe head at the visitor center in this place, because I watched a video of a guy going through the visitor center, and like the axe heads were like this big. Like they used a 3D printer or like a program to print them out, and they were enormous. Like how huge you wouldn't be able to swing an axe like that.
Bigger than my body.
Yes, you wouldn't. It wouldn't work for someone our size to be able to do that. And there were let's play a game called Can You Guess How Many Human Sacrifices Were Buried with Him?
11.
Higher.
84.
Higher.
116.
Higher. There were
359.
Okay, you're close. There were 270 bodies in sacrificial pits that were buried with him as well. So they were all human sacrifice.
Were buried with him.
No, they were mostly women.
Sicko.
I know. So
the giant.
Yeah, exactly.
Leave those poor women alone.
I know. But other than that, we don't really know a lot about the people who lived at Cahokia. We don't even know their name. Cahokia was a name that was given to the city afterwards when it was discovered by other people. So, and we don't know why they abandoned it either. We just know that it was by about 1540 that it was gone. So they think that maybe there was possibly a rebellion against like the ruling class for like their oppressiveness.
It's the giants.
Mm-hmm. You never know, but
Paul Bunyan really had a great idea by becoming a good giant.
Exactly.
Because no one likes giants so far. Except for Paul.
He learned from his mistakes. And one of the interesting things about giants that we learned from the research is that they are always attributed to being violent and like...
even Paul Bunyan died in violence.
Right. I mean, besides Paul Bunyan's like nice side...
He has a nice side
that we mentioned.
He did die by violence.
If you think about giants from like other stories, even folklore stories like Jack and the Beanstalk and things like that.
They're always violent.
Giants are always violent. If you think about Harry Potter and how Hagrid was like persecuted, didn't want people to know that he was half of a giant, was because the giants had a reputation for being violent.
Yeah.
Why did the giants not live well together in that universe? Is because they fought against each other.
Fist to cuff.
Yeah, they're not meant to live together. and they ended up killing each other.
Maybe that's why Paul did so well. He didn't have other.
Exactly. There was no competition. He just had Babe the Blue Ox.
The more badass. Like, while everyone else took 5 of them to eat a pancake, he ate 10 pancakes. He had no challenge. Golfing, everyone else was limited to 18 holes. He won.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I found the interesting thing about the Cahokia was, even if we don't have evidence of their ruler being a giant or what happened to them afterwards, the fact that it was the largest city in North America and that you never hear about it is pretty ridiculous.
That's pretty ridiculous, yeah.
I want to say that it might have been on like private land or something. And
I see. So like we didn't ever really get as a nation. Yeah.
But go look up like drone footage of it, or people doing like little flyovers, and the amount of mounds and like the size of them is pretty astounding.
Yeah, wow. We definitely need to go to Mountainville.
I think we should definitely take a trip to Mountainville too. That's a good idea, Jesse.
Native legend, guys. Next native legend.
We can just go there and film like a commercial or something.
Yeah, let's go film a commercial for this episode.
We'll see
if it happens. We want to get this episode out to you guys. That might take a second.
We love posting commercials after the fact.
Yeah, right.
We're not great at having them out on a schedule, but one day we will, though, when we get like a staff and those kind of things, that we'll be able to put them out.
You're looking for an internship. We have a marketing internship open for you.
A marketing and social engagement.
Because both of us suck at it.
Yes, because we're old and we're not good at social media.
Freaking millennials, right?
All right, so I have like a local or like a one that hits pretty close to home that I was surprised to hear about.
Tell me about that.
And it has to do with a couple of characters that you will be familiar with or that you'll know the names of. Okay, have you heard of Fernando de Soto?
Oh, I know that name. We have the DeSoto Falls here in Alabama.
DeSoto Caverns. That's where the falls are. Yeah, exactly. I think that's like up in like the north eastern
super beautiful
part. Yeah, exactly. I think I've been there a couple of times, actually.
We should film this in DeSoto
Yes,
Falls.
we should have done that. Why didn't we do that? We're always missing opportunities here. But also, have you maybe heard of Chief Tuscaloosa?
Oh, I've heard the name. My goodness, where's that coming from?
I don't know. He may have been like a Native American king that was local to the area.
Tuscaloosa means black warrior, correct?
I want to say that that's right. And
yeah, we could have grabbed Black Warrior beer if we were not drinking whiskey.
If it was not Black Warrior, it might have something to do with Black Panther because his son was known as Black Panther.
Wow, this feels very wild.
It does. It feels like a lot of things culminating together in like one story.
And very Alabama.
Yes, I want to tell you the story about Chief Tuscaloosa, Fernando de Soto, and the Black Panther.
Okay, tell me.
Okay, so in 1539, so this is like very early, before America.
Yeah.
This is de Soto was discovering the southeastern United States, like Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama area. Mm-hmm. And he was taking with him 600 soldiers and slaves. His party was 600 strong.
600 strong.
That's a pretty big party for like going across the ocean.
Like, yeah,
exactly. Like you're not just, I mean, you're not a Lewis and Clark type expedition.
Yeah.
You're taking a pretty big contingency with you when you go somewhere. It's not like the
600 people on my side. I would feel like the most badass man ever.
It's not like the guys that we talked about that were trying to find El Dorado, and it would be just like 13 of them and some horses, and they had to eat the horses, and then they
Everyone has to eat their horses.
Then everybody has to eat each other. So on October 5th, 1540, DeSoto and his men were in what is now like Alabama, Georgia, probably not Florida, Georgia line, but Alabama, Georgia line. Mm-hmm. And they were approached out of the wilderness by this huge man, and he called himself Black Panther. And DeSoto's tallest men only came up to his breast. Like their heads, top of their heads only came up to his breast. And he's
like the guy from the Road to El Dorado cartoon. That's just the huge.
Yeah, the big guy.
Yeah, big guy.
He was probably taller than him because he was like more like muscular stature. And I guess like he kind of like did some pantomiming, or they made contact with him, and he wanted DeSoto and his men to accompany him back to where he came from, to his village. And so for 3 days, they follow Black Panther through the forest just like, and they're just like, where am I going? And like, I mean, we're discovering this area anyway.
Yeah,
Our schedule is kind of wide open.
Yeah, they don't have anything to do.
I mean, this fits with the agenda. So they follow Black Panther back to the city. It's called Mobila. And it's not Mobile. It's not Mobile, but it's north of Mobile.
Okay.
Whatever is like between
Atmore and stuff like that.
I want to say that's around the area that it is. Yes.
Okay.
Somewhere between Tuscaloosa and the bay, where the bay starts.
There was certainly a village. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so that's where DeSoto and his men follow Black Panther. And they get there, and there's like a city, like a complex that's surrounded by like a wooden wall.
El Dorado.
No, not gold. No, this is wood. No, this is no. It's like wooden huts and things like that. It's not a city of giants. They approach this hill where there are 100 warriors that are sitting around this one guy who is a giant, and it's Chief Tuscaloosa. And we said that DeSoto's men only came up to the breast of Black Panther.
Yeah.
Well, Black Panther was 2 feet shorter than his dad. His dad was 2 feet taller than him. So he was probably standing like 10, like 8, 9, 10 feet tall is what it seemed like. And DeSoto's like not bookkeeper, but like record keeper, the guy who was like keeping the story as it happens, he said that he was like the most handsome Indian that they had ever seen. And he was like well proportioned and like a little bit homoerotic sort of thing going on here. I guess they had somebody that translated or spoke the language or something, but they
in 3 days was like, hey,
I guess so. Yeah. Crash course. Yeah, exactly.
Let
me get that Duolingo in the ancient Cherokee going on. And they're just like, do not kill me or eat me. Okay.
Do not eat me.
Yes.
Please. Pretty please.
So they,
where is the gold?
Yes. Well, they work out that Chief Tuscaloosa wants to have them for like a banquet or like a party or something.
I love that.
In their honor. Yeah. So
hungry. That sounds so good.
Exactly, because we've been walking through the woods for
days.
For days, and we're starving. So they have them inside this like massive tent thing where they have a feast and they have dancing and they have music and there's women there and they're having a good time. They're drinking. I don't know what they're drinking, but we should do a drink for them.
For them.
It could be an old fashioned.
Yeah, they were drinking old fashioned out in the woods. This is the most elaborate drink that we've done here.
Anything's an old fashioned when it's back in the day because it's automatically old fashioned.
Automatically old fashioned. I get that.
So DeSoto, he notices like the party had been going on for a while, and he kind of like gets that like feeling that you get something when something's wrong, and he notices that like the women and the children have kind of disappeared from the crowd. And that it's mostly just like the men that are left.
Oh no.
And he goes outside and he looks around because he noticed that Chief Tuscaloosa wasn't there anymore. And he sees Chief Tuscaloosa just like at the gate of the city. And he's standing there and he's like watching back at the place where the party is happening. And then he turns around and then he leaves. And DeSoto realizes that it's probably going to be an ambush. And he yells out for his men. He's like, guys, it's an ambush. Look out. And then like right when he yells, they release a bunch of arrows on the Spanish. They kill 200 of the 600 die that night.
Holy smokes.
Yes. It's like the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. It reminds me of the Red Wedding.
Uh-huh. that false sense of security. They get them all drunk.
You're safe. You're all drunk, hanging out. You're having a good time. And then all of a sudden
they slaughter them.
Arrows on you.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, wow.
So 200 of them died that night and they end up like retreating into the jungle, or not the jungle, but like the forest. And they regroup and they make plans to storm the city at daybreak. So when the sun comes up, they attack the village and they manage to like break down the wall. They set fire to it because it's made out of wood.
Yeah.
And
you know how to deal with wood.
Right. And they have guns and stuff. You know what I mean? Like if it was like a fair fight at the beginning, the Spanish probably would have won because they have guns and they know how to fight before. Yeah, exactly. But because their defenses are down, they're drinking.
They're drunk.
Right. They're having a party. They think that they're making a good impression. Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Can't fight.
No, I'm too tired to fight. I can't fight.
Whiskey arms.
Imagine being like hungover the next day though, and being asked to go like do this fight and stuff. I'd be like, absolutely not. I don't don't know. Maybe that would give me the adrenaline that I need to do
Some
that.
days after these podcasts, I don't know if I want to do anything.
Some days I have to go to work afterwards.
Aye.
But so DeSoto's men end up being victorious the next day. They set fire to the city, and it's pretty much all over at that point. They capture his son, Tuscaloosa's son, Black Panther, and they behead him. They cut his head off, and they throw him in the Black Warrior River. And yeah, so he's dead, but Chief Tuscaloosa is not among the ones that were found afterwards.
The giant got away.
Yeah, the giant got away.
The giant got away.
They spent 3 weeks chasing him through the forest.
But he's a giant.
He's a giant.
Real fast.
And they couldn't find him. He got away.
Probably wears Adidas.
Probably does. And
real quick.
A few months after this, DeSoto got sick and he ended up dying.
Oh, shoot dang.
Yep.
Shoot dang.
So the only account was like from his guy who kept the records.
Shoot dang.
Yep.
Wow. What an amazing story. Wow.
I know. That was a good story. Like,
holy crap.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite stories that I found researching this.
So I have heard, being here in Tuscaloosa, not that we're in Tuscaloosa, but yeah, I've heard that the average warrior was 7 feet tall, which was, again, quite a few
That's
feet
pretty
taller.
tall. Yeah, exactly.
Feet taller than I'm 6'1", you're 6'2". Imagine someone a foot taller than us. We're like, holy crap. And we're like tall in our society.
Yeah, I say we're in like the upper third.
The upper third, exactly.
We wouldn't be giants, but we would be looked at probably in this time period.
Yeah, definitely depends
that was happening. Yeah. Well, I have an interesting discussion question for you, Jesse. So DeSoto, he's like a well-known guy, right? Like we learned about
I've
DeSoto.
heard about him in history.
Pardon me if I'm wrong. Who was looking for the Fountain of Youth?
Jack Sparrow. Wasn't it? Was it
DeSoto that was looking for the Fountain of Youth, or did his name start with an F? And I want to say that it did, but
Fabian.
Maybe it was Fabian.
That's just the other Paul Bunyan.
Okay, so I'm gonna end up looking for this in the research after when I produce this, and I'll put up who looked for the Fountain of Youth.
Yeah, who looked for the Fountain of Youth?
Ponce de Leon. That's it.
Oh,
Ponce de Leon for sure.
Somewhere in Louisiana, right?
Florida, I think.
Florida.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, regardless of that, why do we take accounts of people like DeSoto seriously when they're talking about like their exploration of geography and stuff, but we're not taking their accounts of giants seriously? And I will give you another story real quick, is that Ferdinand Magellan, maybe the most famous seafaring explorer of all time, encountered giants when he was sailing around South America, to the point where he tricked 2 giants into being shackled and took them aboard his ship, and was taking them back to Europe. When they died on the way, they got a disease and they died before they were able to get there. And his scribe guy was writing all this down. But Magellan ended up dying on the way back as well. He caught a disease afterwards, and he didn't make it back either. But we take Magellan's voyage like very seriously when it comes to historical records. But this accounts of them taking the giants and stuff like that doesn't happen. He's not the only one either. Amerigo Vespucci, the guy who America was found afterwards, encountered the same tribe of giants in the Patagonia region of South America, which is not what this episode is about.
Yeah, we're not talking about South American giants.
But I just want to hit on this point of these famous explorers having accounts of giants, but their records of it completely not being taken seriously at all.
Let me go ahead and add to that. Like St. Augustine's taken very heavily for theology.
Oh, yeah.
Early church history, but no one talks about the giants. You're right.
Good point.
That there's this weird space in which we're like, that's outside of our world of known.
Mm-hmm.
We're like,
it scares us.
Yeah, here's the world we know. We're not going to add anything that could be confusing to it. So we legitimately edit the shit out of that work to make it fit our narrative, which is weird. Like, why do we do that? Why can't?
Are we scared of what might happen if enough people?
Are you scared?
Question the narrative of it.
Yeah. Well, and I sometimes think of that as like, am I given a narrative of the world that isn't actually real?
Right.
Like, am I just given a narrative that like everyone wants me to know, and like they just kind of push out the things that are weird, and I just like ignore them? which is weird to think about because it's like I think I know history.
But really, you only know the history is written by the victors type thing. And
But even the victors, we kind of ignore. We
you're right.
like, oh, the victor wrote about a giant.
Good point,
Let's
Jesse.
not talk about that. Like, so who's writing history? And does this change the image of the world that we have created? Because here, all these ancient countries are talking about giants all over the world. And it doesn't stop in the United States. It doesn't stop in like, the early Americas. It goes down. I mean, it's from Celtic lore. It goes down to Mexico. I have quite a few of those.
This leads me into something that I wanted to talk about is that in my research for this, Jesse, I listened to this podcast and I clicked on it because I was like, this looks like it's very legitimate. It has great production value. Its graphics and stuff look really good. The guy has a nice studio. It sounds great. And I was like, I'm going to take this guy seriously. It was about it's the cockiest guy like I had ever heard of. He was like, I'm about to school you on some stuff and things like that. And then I looked at how many ratings he had, and it was like maybe like 10 times the amount that we have. And like, we don't have very many at all.
Don't have very many, guys.
Exactly. But
We're still looking for 10 or 100 subscribers. Come on.
yes,
Join
so
us.
subscribe. But the one thing that I took away from him is that he had an interesting discussion question, or like an interesting point, was that giants, or the possibility of giants, is like the tip of the iceberg for believing in other things that might be like outside the realm of what you consider like the normal consciousness.
Yeah.
And it's a slippery slope once you think about the possibility of giants being real, is that it opens the door for, okay, well, what if like fairies, dwarves, ghosts, those other things, and then and it also like leads to like God and like spiritualism and
Werewolves vampires.
Okay, so you have to keep giants in a box, because if you let giants out of the box, then it's everything else follows behind
and also
it.
the leprechauns.
Yes, the leprechauns there. Yes, the Mothmans, the Wendigos.
All of a sudden we lose control over the narrative of this world, but maybe this world isn't as controlled by narrative as we think.
Well, I know somebody who is really trying to control the narrative really hard, and that they're spending a lot of time and effort in covering up and denying and obfuscating the truth. And that is the Smithsonian Museum here in America.
Yeah. I have no idea anything about them.
You know about the Smithsonian? They're like the largest network of
I
museums.
know that they create a magazine.
Yes, and a website.
Yeah, and a website.
But I think they're the largest like network of museums in America for sure. But there is this running, I won't say joke, but like it's like a running story that all of these giant skeletons that I told you about, the 1,000 accounts of giant skeletons that were found in North America, is that the Smithsonian runs in and covers them up before they were able to be like verified by like third parties, and like before they're able to be examined or like proven in a scientific sense.
But why?
Because of what we just talked about.
Ruins the narrative.
Right. It ruins the narrative. Here, let me give you a quick rundown of like a bullet point list of Smithsonian cover-ups, and we'll go back to our big stories, but I thought this was a good time to mention the Smithsonian part right now.
Yeah, because it's really weird that like why
they care about it this much. Yes.
Why be like, oh, it's just people talking about giants, leave it alone.
Right.
Most people don't believe that.
Exactly. Okay, so I'll run you through the bullet points real quick. Okay, so here are some giant skeleton discoveries that the Smithsonian investigated that ended up being there. They took the bones away and they disappeared and they were never able to be seen again.
Damn it.
And okay, here's an account real quick. I'm gonna hit you 1, 2, 3 real quick. Okay, so Bush Creek, Ohio, 8-foot skeleton discovered in 1849. Smithsonian investigated. It was never seen again. The Dunilliath Mound in Illinois was a 9-foot tall skeleton found in the late 1800s, and the Smithsonian was there, and they tried to verify it, and no one ever heard of it anymore. The Stillville Giant in 1933. Dr. Alice Heydrich from the Smithsonian investigated an 8-foot skeleton, and it was never heard of again. In Sayre, Pennsylvania, horned giants over 7 feet tall. Horned giants were allegedly discovered in the 1800s, and the Smithsonian investigated. In 1895, in San Diego, an 8-foot skeleton was discovered, and Dr. Jordan investigated. This Dr. Jordan, though, ended up being like an extreme racist, and he like hated Native. Yeah, he like hated Native Americans and wrote books about eugenics. And so the Smithsonian. the Smithsonian tried to like distance themselves from him. So he might have had dubious claims or whatever. Like maybe we shouldn't trust him necessarily, but so we can discount
Put him with a big question.
Yeah, we can discount him, but he ended up being part of a story that I'm not going to have time to go into about alleged discovery of a civilization found in the Grand Canyon that I mentioned to you off of air one time.
Yeah.
But there was like, that might have not been a true thing. But anyway.
We don't know.
Yes. Okay. So
questionable civilization.
Exactly. So in Wisconsin in 1912, there were 7 to 10 foot skeletons found, and there was over 18 of them.
Quick little point. If they're in Wisconsin, are they like the giants in Skyrim that are always making cheese?
I hope so.
God, I hope so.
That's funny. And that was in 1912. In 1883, in the Cressup Mound of West Virginia, there was a 7.5 foot skeleton found, and Dr. Cyrus Thomas from the Smithsonian investigated, and it was confiscated, and they got rid of it. In 1897, an 8 foot skeleton in Miamisburg, Ohio, there was a skeleton found, and the Smithsonian also did an investigation on it. And you know where else the Smithsonian did an investigation? Was the Cahokia city that I told you about earlier in the 1800s.
Wow.
Where I told you they didn't find the body of the ruler.
Yeah.
So like, it seems like they care a lot
about
this.
Which if like, if there's a giant, like who cares, right?
Right, exactly.
Like, okay, there's a giant bones, like leave it alone.
So why do they care about it so much?
Just tell people it was dinosaurs.
That is one of the main arguments against giants in general. So I wrote down a list of like reasons that they think that it's not real a lot of the time. And one of them is misidentification of skeletons.
Mm-hmm.
Like it could be like a mastodon or a mammoth, or I don't know, like a Gigantus epithecus or something like that, which is like a giant ape, like a Bigfoot type thing.
Bigfoot is a whole nother story though, right?
Exactly. And they're just misidentifying the remains of it. Another one we've already mentioned on already is the average height of people being shorter back
About
then
5 feet.
than now. So like if you see somebody who's a significant foot or two higher, that you're going to think that they're a giant.
It's like seeing someone that's 9 foot now, 8 feet. Yeah.
Or they could have a physical abnormality, like a disease or like a problem with their pituitary gland in their brain that's just like causing them the human growth hormone to like keep producing.
Yeah, of course they also become cannibals and have stone skin. So
good point. Good point. Exactly.
What do we do with that?
One of the side effects of that.
Yeah, one of the side effects of having a giant, bone. So we don't really restrict this to even the United States and Canada. It goes into Mexico by quite a bit. I'm going to say this wrong. My Spanish is rubbish, but the Che Unic.
Okay.
The Che Unic are a group of people in south. They're in the south of Mexico, like the
like southwest of America, North Mexico, or south of Mexico.
South of Mexico, like South Mexico.
Oh, okay.
Like jungle area.
These
creatures are talked about in like the Mayan tradition. Quite a bit, all the way down to Honduras and
Guatemala,
Belize. They were a weird group of giants that they talked about.
It's part of their folklore.
Yeah, it's part of the folklore. They were men of great height. They lacked bones and joints, which I thought first
that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, first I thought that meant they were flubbery. Like
sounds like they're flubbery.
Yeah, but what it actually meant is that they were very like stiff.
Oh, okay. So like the one that couldn't turn his head earlier.
Yeah, they were like almost like bark. Almost.
Or stone-ish.
Yeah. They were colossal creatures, and their feet were going backwards. Their toes were in the back, and their heels were in the front. So it looked like they were like
the back legs on a dog.
Yeah.
I don't know,
or like or something. But their toes literally were facing
the wrong way.
Yeah. And
wow. Sounds like a deformity.
Yeah, right. But they couldn't like just go to sleep. They had problems walking, so
they couldn't just go to sleep.
They had to lean against trees to fall asleep. But the weird thing is, they actually kind of look like trees.
Oh, like the Ents in
they look like the Ents
Lord of the Rings.
But they're like evil Ents. They would stalk humans. They would stalk humans while they were like either traveling or like lost in the woods.
It's like sneak up behind them and they're like, I'm a tree. Can't see me.
I'm going to eat you. There is quite a few legends of people trying to escape them. They literally look like Ents.
That's awesome.
Look at that picture. Looks like an ant.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, but they were very emotional. They were prone to jealousy and deception. If a human was really smart, they could get away from them pretty easily.
Those emotional ants.
If you wanted to get away from one, if you wanted to save yourself from them, you grab a couple branches, you do a little dance, sing a little song, and they would laugh so hard that they would fall over.
Speaking of flubber, there we go.
Yeah, they would fall over because they laughed so hard. And because they didn't have joints, they couldn't get up. These things were
Such a unique characteristic.
yeah. There were giants that were known to laugh really hard, but they were usually in the woods, and they were close to the jungle. Sorry, they were close to jungle, but they hated the jungle giants, and they would go to war with them quite often.
Hated those jungle giants.
Yeah, and you're like, you guys are kind of jungle giants, but
Isn't that a band, the Jungle Giants? That sounds like a good band. I've heard of them.
maybe.
Somebody knows.
Jungle giants, look it up. But genuinely, people were very afraid of them, and they were afraid of roaming like huge territories because like they would roam major territories where there was no human civilization. They did not care for being in like groups of people or groups of other giants.
Solitary.
Yeah, they were solitary, but they did have tribes. Again, they would murder you. If they saw you, they would eat you immediately.
Right.
Immediately.
Sounds like they didn't get along with each other either, though.
Generally, they were said to be about 10 feet tall, which is interesting because usually things, the further south you go, get smaller. Like, have you ever noticed how a deer in Michigan is much bigger than a deer in Alabama?
Wait, why?
I think it's because they don't have to like pack on pounds for the winter.
Oh, for the winter. Okay.
Yeah, so I think things generally can be smaller in the south because we have a
Climate.
Yeah, a climate that is a growing season eternally.
That makes sense.
But in this, the giant is much bigger. It's 10 feet tall, pretty traditionally. And they're literally just, if somebody's lost in the woods or anything, they're going to eat them. They're like, hey.
I mean, why not?
Yeah, and they'll eat them very quickly. They don't need any armor or any clothing because of the heat and humidity, not humility, humidity of the native environment. That whiskey is getting to me.
That's funny. That's good, though.
I thought these ones were cool because they looked like they were like violent ants, which I kind of liked.
I do like that too.
They, again, no bones, no joints, prone to being relatively emotional. Again, if you want to stop them, if you're like, oh no, giant's coming after me, hold a branch, a green branch in your hand, do a little dance, sing a little song.
Why do
Get down tonight.
Get down tonight.
Get down tonight. And all of a sudden they fall over laughing because they walk super awkwardly because their feet are backwards. First, that's a really good like ploy. If you're like, hey, where's the enemy going? You follow the foot tracks.
The footprints are backwards.
The footprints are backwards.
Yeah.
You're like, damn it, I'm going the wrong way. But also, it allows some room for them to devour you.
I see that too. It's like
You're
a
going
trick
one way.
as well. Yeah, they
Yeah,
could be
yeah.
running right into them.
Yeah, but they do laugh a lot. They're just so
Very interesting characteristic of the giants.
Yeah, why are they so interested in funniness? Is a funny thing.
I like these humor-based giants. I think they're a good idea.
Just dance and sing it. Apparently, there's some people who've really like discovered these, like people like Don Emilio and
Don Emilio.
Yeah, he discovered them.
Wow,
Yeah, right.
sounds like a cool name.
Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking. Another one is from the north of Mexico. It's called the Guanaco.
Okay, I've never heard of this before.
The Guanaco is, I found a lot less on it. A lot less because it's from a small tribe of people, a small indigenous group. It lives in the mountains. It's not as funny.
I imagine so.
I was sad. I was like, man, the other one was so funny.
Right. I mean, we have the funny one, and then we have Paul
The serious
Bunyan.
one where it's like, oh yeah, we have
Paul Bunyan. He's ambivalent most of the time. Friendly.
He's good.
Yeah.
He's good. Likes pancakes. I'm like, hell yeah, I get you.
And then we had the funny giant with the tree and the Get Down Tonight one.
And then we have the
Cannibal ones and
just straight cannibal.
Yeah.
And this is one of the straight cannibal ones.
They can't break the mold. It's really hard to get out of that archetype of
Yeah,
giants.
you have to try.
Right.
You either have to be like have a good sense
But
of humor,
people just look like
or
you
wear
want to
flannel.
eat them. You know what I mean? They just see them and they're just like, this is just like
Grab
cattle.
my legs, they're
cattle.
like chicken legs.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get that.
Something to do with
Definitely
like
the fat
the
ones.
flesh.
Like so it's like you could
yeah.
eat, like
Pigs that run upright.
yeah. I mean like it's like devour them because you could eat them. Now, this isn't good of the giants, but that's the way they
Not
view
much
the world.
is.
But it's the same way we view our chickens and our
Pigs.
we want bigger chickens, bigger cows, bigger
Yes.
pig,
We give them VR.
pigs,
Yeah.
whiskey,
Turkey.
turkey. Oh yeah, our turkeys are gigantic.
Oh, yes.
They're so
We have a
turkey
whole
like this.
holiday based on turkeys.
We're like, hell yeah.
Well, really, that holiday is based on giving smallpox blankets to the Native Americans, but
Turkeys.
turkeys.
It's about turkeys.
Smithsonian's going to cover that one up too. You gotta watch out.
They're gonna come after us.
Thanksgiving
If we disappear.
Brought to you by the Smithsonian.
So these things are said to live in the mountains, and they again, these are called the Gonoko. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. My Spanish.
The Gonokos.
I don't even know if this is Spanish because this could be a native language. They're known to prey on unexpected travelers.
Of course.
They bring misfortune, illness, and bad luck, and even death.
Absolutely.
Obviously, they bring death.
I mean, that's because they kill them. They're not like a bad omen of death. They are the cause of the death.
Often people view this as like a cautionary tale to not go into nature and take unnecessary risk out in nature. But the truth is that they're probably devouring people out in the mountains. Well, I say that as the truth. I like that I said that that's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
The whiskey says this is the truth.
So the moral of the story is
Don't go out in nature or trust anything. In fact, this tribe,
don't go out in nature. Just stay in your urban environment.
no, they live
If
in
when the
woods.
sidewalk ends, you better turn around and go back.
This tribe lives in the woods. It's fine. They don't have sidewalks.
Exactly.
But they are, what the heck are they called? The
Gonoko-
Taharamara culture.
Oh, the Saharamara.
You know them?
No, that sounds cool.
Yeah. I'm saying that wrong probably, but their relationship with the natural world is a little skeptical. Like, hey, things are going to kill us out here. Be careful. And so they're
Like a boogeyman sort of thing.
yeah, kind of. This one felt a little less funny than the other one. But they do offer sacrifices, and this is a spiritual thing. This is a god to them, type of god. So very regularly they offer sacrifices
To the native peoples
Native
offer
people.
sacrifices.
Yes.
Okay.
and if you don't, they're very weary of any strangers like us.
Of course.
And the Gonoko is kind of a symbol of that nature. So like truly there's this weird thing where they don't trust these giants, and these giants are very bad and there's no way around them. It's not very much like the last one where it was kind of funny and you can trick them. This one just seems like it actually is like Grendel and will devour you.
I see that. Grendel from Beowulf.
Yeah, exactly. But again, none of these really replicate Beowulf, Paul Bunyan.
No, we're learning that the giant accounts from mythology and from the archaeological discoveries in America that they are very much the opposite of Paul Bunyan.
Paul is like such a great guy.
No, Paul is like the PR version of giants. He's like, we're gonna like make us the giant.
Yeah, PC.
Yeah, the Confederation of Giants public relations
public
community is like
He wears flannel. He's
Paul
a nice
Bunyan.
guy.
Yeah, exactly. I get you out there and making a public statement. Pet your pet ox. Adopt some oxes. The yellow one. We got to get him in there. You know what I mean? And get some friends.
You got some friends, the 7 Axemen.
Don't get into a fight in a bar.
He has
you got into a
Sourdough
fight
Sam
in the bar.
and
Yes.
Brimstone Bill, his preacher. Yeah, right? He's a great guy.
Oh man, I love that. Okay, Jesse, I want to give you something that will give you some great credibility to giants in America.
Ooh.
Think of what your favorite United States president is.
Abraham Lincoln.
Wow, you named it on the first one. Did you know that?
Hell yeah. No,
Dude,
I
that's
didn't
what
know
I'm
that.
talking about.
Just Abraham Lincoln's
Yes,
badass.
you got it on the first try. Thank you. I love that. That was great. That was completely unscripted. All right, do you want me to give you a quote by Abraham Lincoln?
Please.
Okay,
I love Abraham Lincoln he has a good beard,
he does.
freed the slaves, like Civil War.
He also said this. Abraham Lincoln said, "The eyes of that species of extinct giant, whose bones fill the mounds of America, have gazed on Niagara as ours do now." And that was in 1848 when he was at Niagara Falls.
What?
Yes.
What?
No, so he knew that the mounds that the Indians had built in
Had
America
giants in them.
were burial grounds for giants. And he said that.
History is changing before my eyes.
I know. Abraham Lincoln is one of those guys where you're like, well, I kind of take his opinion kind of seriously.
Yeah, I trust him more than other presidents.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I trust him a little more than
I mean, I don't
Bush or Obama or Trump.
I don't trust Abraham Lincoln when he says, "Hey, let's go to the theater together."
Yeah, but like
when it comes to giants, I'd probably take his word.
Yeah. Most things I take his word. Just on theater adventures.
Yeah, it's not that. He's like, hey,
hindsight is 2020.
You want to? Hey, you want to go see the new Star Wars? I'll be all right, Abe. You just check that one out on your own.
Good luck.
But the Smithsonian. Okay, so you know how like we haven't talked about this.
Abraham Lincoln really said that.
Oh yeah, that was his speech that he gave at Niagara Falls is a really good one.
That's amazing.
So you would see how they would have an equal type of problem in the Middle East, in Egypt, where there are things being discovered all the time that they don't want like the public to know or like to get out into the scientific community, because then it would filter down into the YouTube stratosphere and that we would know about it. So there's this guy in Egypt. What's the word? Not paleontology, but anthropology. Okay. So there's Egyptian Anthropological Society. There's this guy and his name is Zawe Hawes. You probably have heard of him if you've been interested in this subject before. And he is like the gatekeeper of Egyptology. He won't let there be like scans for like under the Sphinx, for excavations like under the pyramids, and like all these like extra sites and stuff like that are not in like the normal mainstream kind of sort of thing. Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. He blocks those things from happening. I learned during my research.
Don't trust that guy.
No, I definitely don't trust that guy. And he's still in charge today. I think he's been in charge for like 50 or 60 years.
Why do we let him be in charge?
Because the powers that be let him be in charge. That's the whole point of the powers that be. Okay, but I learned that America has their own Zawe Hawes, and the Smithsonian employs him. His name is Alice Heridica, and he's a Slovenian national, I think. Slovakia, either Slovenia or Slovakia. For some reason, he'd moved to America, but he is the first curator of physical anthropology of the Smithsonian from 1904 until 1941. And he was personally one of the ones that investigated a lot of those accounts that I talked about earlier. And he blocks he's the one that makes the bones disappear. And they did like a not a Freedom of Information Request Act, but like one of those things where they wanted the public to find out what had happened to a lot of these remains that they had documented in these cases that I was telling you about. And the Smithsonian replied with, well, you can't look in our archives because the warehouse is contaminated with asbestos. And it took 10 years for them to allow them to like investigate or to like open up to the public the warehouse.
This is like Indiana Jones. They have it all in.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Damn it. I love that scene from Indiana Jones because it's so accurate.
So accurate.
So accurate.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah. So that old Alice Heridica is one of the main ones who started it, because they have this idea, Jesse, and we'll come across this in a lot of Legends and Libations topics that we'll talk about, is that they have North America has like this, like it's called Clovis First. And it is that across the Bering Strait is where people came for the first time. They walked across the land bridge across from Russia to Alaska, and they walked down through the ice corridor that was in Canada. And that this is how these people settled in North America. And that anything else other than that is like against the mainstream narrative, and that we cannot give any credence to this idea because it goes against what we all believe. It goes against the main narrative. And there are a lot of contradictory evidence to this, like such as like all the stories that we talked about today are. But one of the really silly ones is that
the fact that you're laughing already.
Okay, so sweet potatoes.
I love sweet potatoes.
Me too. Sweet potato fries, especially, they're great with mayonnaise. It's my favorite condiment.
Potato.
Yes.
That's what they say.
Sweet potatoes are native to North America only. That's where they come from. If any other sweet potatoes are brought from North America to wherever you are, but they found sweet potatoes in the Cook Islands from the year 1000.
Wow.
The Cook Islands, if you can look at our map.
There's our map.
I'm going to attempt to find the Cook Islands right now and not even know where they are.
You're doing great.
There.
The Cook Islands are right here.
Jesse's pointing at it. I'm going to move out of the way. Pointing at it again, Jesse.
Right
Yeah.
above
The Cook Islands are right down there.
Not Antarctica.
Antarctica.
Yeah.
Or sorry, they're equal to like Peru
Yeah.
on latitude wise.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay. How did those sweet potatoes end up in the Cook Islands in the year 1000?
Teleportation.
Columbus didn't go discover America until 1492.
You know, sometimes things end up in places.
Sometimes people end up in places and populate entire areas before accepted history can write the history books. But we'll leave that for a later episode. This is why we don't trust the Smithsonian. This is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. I mean, I'm starting to see like that. There's this kind of like what are they hiding? Why does it matter to them why do they have to tell a narrative?
Because
why is it important to them to tell
you look
narrative?
at the Smithsonian mission statement on their website that it says something like, we are shaping the future by controlling the past. And it's pretty
Are you serious?
The shaping the future part is verbatim. The controlling the past part is, I'm paraphrasing.
NIV paraphrase, or is this like King James or what?
It's like NIV, I would say.
Okay.
No, it's pretty much like that's what they're saying. Is that we're giving you
the future by controlling it.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yes, we're shaping it by giving you little bits and pieces of evidence from the past that we want you to see, so that you will form the narrative of the Clovis first thing and stuff like that. Yeah, but if we gave you everything that we have, then that would fall apart pretty rapidly. So,
like the narrative that we create for history is so.
We're in a golden age of that changing. I feel like we're on the precipice of the things that we are being taught in school, like growing up, is the paradigm of it is going to shift drastically for my children, or like my son. If he is taught in a public school, that might be way 100% different than it was for us.
Like, as a professor, I think I'm much more willing to I don't know if there was a narrative given to my professors before, but as a professor, I don't feel like there's a narrative that they've told me I had to hold, and so I kind of talk about
that's because it's done. Yeah. That's because like the operation of that is completed. I feel like I think the whole public deception is. There's a quote by. Okay, I'm drinking and I'm not getting this right at all, but I want to say it's by like director of the CIA from like the 1960s or whatever. And it says, when nothing that the public believes is true, our final operation will be complete.
Why?
Because it shows that they have fallen so hard for the propaganda that they can tell any lie, and any lie will be accepted as fact, because they just have that grandstanding authoritarian, like, I'm speaking down to you because I am the authority, and that you will believe it because I have that power.
Yeah, I can tell you that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then therefore that makes it fact. What I speak is the law. Look it up. I can't remember, but I had the quote pretty close. I'll put it on the screen if I can. On the screen.
I'm going slower. I'm not Paul Bunyan right now. I'm like Bunyan. So slow.
Can you guess? I'll go into a more lighthearted thing.
Now that conspiracy is over.
I love conspiracy. It's my favorite thing.
It's definitely not as we see it. Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what the tallest human in the Guinness Book of World Records is?
7'1".
7'1". No way. Come on. Yao Ming's higher than
9'3".
9'3". Okay. Well, you overshot it a little bit, surprisingly.
Good.
I'm glad that you did, though, because it's 8'11".
8'11". Okay.
8'11". Yeah. This guy named Robert Wadlow in the early 1900s, he was 8'11".
Wow.
But I want to say he died at 22 or 26 because once you get to a certain height, there's this thing called
gravity.
Well,
sorry.
No, you're good. You're right.
Gravity pulls you down.
No, you're right. Gravity does pull you down because of, it's called the square cube law. And the square cube law is that the volume grows faster than the surface area, so that if normal human bones would only be able to support like a certain amount of weight per square inch, and once you grow past a certain height, that you would not be able to be a giant with normal human bones
Yeah.
because you would weigh too much for your bones to support it.
Sucks.
Yeah, and that's why so many people who have the gigantism, like abnormality with their pituitary gland that produces the hormone that makes them grow without stopping, that they have medical problems. They have to wear braces on their legs, or they have to like have a walker or stuff like that because they can't walk on their own. So yeah, Robert Wadlow, he was 8'11". Yeah, exactly. Weaklings, basically, when it comes to giants. To be honest with you, I'm just kidding. I feel bad. I feel bad for the people that, if you look at the videos of the tallest people that are alive today, they're like not having a great time being super tall. But
yeah, all of us want to be super tall and
exactly. Okay, so I've been like skipping around, I guess, because it comes down to, we're gonna have a grand theory of giants. No, maybe not a grand theory. Maybe a localized North American theory of giants.
Okay, localized North American.
Let's do that.
About giant.
Let's bring it back into a little bit of Antarctica and a little bit of El Dorado and those things.
Ooh, okay. Keep it.
Okay, so the Aztecs.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking about North America. We've been talking about Paul Bunyan in Canada. We've been talking about the Iroquois over in the eastern United States and the mounds of Cahokia in the Central America. And we've been talking about Lovelock Cave, Tuscaloosa in the southeast. We got the West. We got the New Mexico and the Mexico.
Oh, yeah, we got it all.
So let's go down to the Aztecs.
Right in Central. I can talk. Central America, but it qualifies as North America, I think.
I think it qualifies as North America.
It was definitely North America, yeah.
Yes, and their giant legend is called the Kinametsa.
Oh, I haven't heard of the Kinametsa. I can't even talk.
You have, because you sent it to me to research.
Oh, shoot.
Yes, Jesse.
Embarrassing.
No.
It's the whiskey.
No, Jesse sent me a list and he said, here, research one of these things. I was like, all right, let's go.
I don't know nothing. Wait, is that I know everything.
Double negative. I don't know what we're talking about. Okay, so the Aztecs, they have a very rich mythology, as we probably know, like based on their writings and sculptures and architectural finds that are still alive today that we find. But okay, so in their mythology, it involves different ages called different suns, and the different suns last for like eons. They last for like 600 something years, and different things happen between the suns. But for one sun to set, it requires like a cataclysm, like a flood or a comet or an earthquake or a volcano or something to happen.
I hate when that happens.
I know, exactly. Me too. It totally ruins my day when there's like a volcano that goes off.
Yeah. Like, damn volcano. Ruining my day. I was wearing plaid today. It's very attractive.
I know, and it just got all like washed out by the colors of the volcano.
All black. That went goth.
Oh, man. Okay, so we've talked about giants throughout the United States, and we've mentioned giants. North America. We've mentioned some ones from South America. You had a good story about
one from North Mexico and South Mexico.
Yes, the Guanoco.
Guanoco, which is North Mexico, yeah.
I've got one. You said that was like an obscure one, or like a little known one, but I've got one from a culture that you may have known called the Aztecs.
Sounds like something we met in Spanish Inquisition.
Oh, most definitely. And that we may have talked about in El Dorado.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. And I have a good El Dorado tie-in that you won't see coming.
Oh, holy shoot.
At all.
Holy shoot.
Holy shoot.
Holy shoot. That's a modest way of saying that.
That's the most modest way a person has ever said that after a whole bottle of bourbon.
Bourbon makes me modest.
Mm-hmm. The most modest of bourbons.
Yeah, bourbon makes me modest.
Bourbon sounds like barbarian.
Barbarian makes me modest.
Yes, the most modest of people.
The most modest of barbarians. Anyways.
Okay.
Tell me about these Aztec.
I'm bad at pronunciations too.
Me too.
The only Aztec pronunciation that I can actually do a little bit is
Aztec.
Oh, it's Quetzalcoatl.
That's how they
Quetzalcoatl. Sorry. God, I'm so bad at pronouncing anything. That's the feathered serpent though. And I love
that was the Cucacana.
What does that mean?
It's a Mayan name. Sorry.
Anyway, this is the Aztec and it's called the Kinametsa. The Kinametsa. So this is like their folklore legend of giants of a giant race. The Aztec have a origin story called the Chicomatza. The Chicomatza
Sometimes I feel like I'm saying something bad.
are incorrect, but it's okay.
No, I feel like I'm saying something bad.
It's like a curse or
Like
something.
I'm saying something really bad.
Like invoking some sort of like demon upon us.
Yeah, it's not PC.
It's not the PC demon.
It's not the PC.
It is the PC demon. Okay, so the Aztec mythology has different ages called different suns, and they'd be like, oh, well, the first sun is like the first age or whatever.
What nerds.
It does sound like Lord of the Rings. It's like, 74 of the third
first
age with the hobbits. And
The third age.
Sauron in the ring. But anyway, so in the first sun, the Aztecs emerged from the caves of the Chicomatza. And the caves were the inner earth. They were like the hollow earth world. The hollow earth that we're back to again from the Antarctica episode.
We're gonna have to do that.
Yes, I love it. So the Chicomatza was the hollow earth, and that's where the 7 caves were. And the different races emerged from the 7 caves. This is according to the Aztec mythology. So the giants were already on the earth when the Aztecs arrived. They were inhabiting the land. They did not come from the inside in the caves and the hollow earth. They were already there beforehand. So they kind of sound like the Nephilim from the Bible that we talked about at the very beginning.
I understand.
It's like they are the descendants of man and the angels, or like the fallen angels, or the spiritual
They're
beings.
like the weirdos.
Yeah, exactly. They're the half-breeds, the hybrids.
Half-breeds.
Mm-hmm.
My lips are so numb right now.
That's a good
Sorry.
thing, I think.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yes. Okay. So the giants were there before the first age began, and some kind of cataclysm happened or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like an origin story of any people, like prehistory people.
survive through this trap.
Okay. But anyway, so the giants get eliminated. They're kind of like the Nephilim, and they're extinct. But the age lasts 633 years. Give or take 5 years.
Yeah. Give or take 5 years.
I mean, I'm just paraphrasing the number, but I know it's 600 something. Okay, so we go through the second age, something happens, whatever. In the third age, the giants are reborn.
Shit.
They are given acorns to eat.
Damn it.
They're sustained on acorns.
So many proteins.
Apparently, and they're
They get real buff. They're working out all the time.
they're harder, better, faster, stronger, like Daft Punk. So we have the stronger giants that are born in the third age.
More badass.
They're the third age.
Third age of
Yes,
giants.
they're 10 feet tall
Holy shit.
and 600 pounds.
Oh, good job.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than
A tree beard.
yeah. Well, more than Paul Bunyan at his men.
Oh,
his men
yeah.
were 350 something.
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing better than that.
Yeah, these guys are pretty big, and
We're like flex.
but they angered the gods because they
Shit.
would not like worship the gods that they came from or whatever. They like rebelled against them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
How they always
13-year-old.
rebel. The children are always rebelling.
They're like 13-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. So when they rebelled, they got sent a global cataclysm in the sense
Warming.
of no, this time was the flood.
Oh shit.
Oh, I mean, yeah, maybe it was the warming because you melt the ice, you warm the ice caps and you get a flood.
Every time there's a judgment on the people, it's global.
Exactly. So they had the flood this
out.
time, and only 7 of them survived.
Goliath's father.
Maybe. Okay. So you have only 7 of the giants left, and this is in the third age. So in the 10th to 13th centuries, the Aztec people are going to wage the last war against the giants. So this is beyond the third age. I'm not sure how long the third age lasted specifically, but the giants survived even if the age ended. And the Aztec people are going to conquer them once and for all. And
Hurrah.
so they ended up getting to a fight with the giants, a war, all out sort of brawl thing.
Good for them.
Yeah, we're not holding anything back.
Yeah, we can't.
And 1,000 giants are killed. They kill 1,000 of the giants.
Doesn't seem like that many.
Seems like a lot.
Well, I mean, like in the grand scheme of things.
But like, how many giants are there going to be for real?
Yeah, is there like
There's not that many giants, you know, because there's like a
1,000? That's like half of their population.
yeah,
It's like 80,000.
yeah. But I mean, think of how big a hospital of giants being born would have to be.
I don't know how big that would be. I never thought of
It'd be like really big.
giant hospital.
Yeah. So like we're only having like 10 giants born a
How
year.
many giants can be born a year?
Like 10.
A year? Like
Yeah, like really small number, I think.
Can one giant woman bear 10 children a year?
No, it takes 9 months for a baby to be born, a regular ass baby.
Yeah, but what about a giant baby?
Not faster, slower.
So you-
slower. No, the bigger you get, the slower it is. How long does a whale take? A whale takes like 16 months or 12 months or something like that. So the bigger you get, the more time it takes.
Okay, so we expect
Less giants,
A year and
slower
a half or
population. Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can't have that many babies of giants at all.
What happens if they have a lot of twins?
They have a lot of genetic or abnormalities from a small gene pool. You know what I mean? Like,
Cousins,
right? Because they're not making it much past like being a prime. They're like they had like the life expectancy of like a hip hop artist. You know what I mean? They're getting shot pretty quick.
Okay, fair.
Okay, so there's only 7 of them left
Yeah.
after this thing. Like that's pretty significant. There's only
After
7.
1,000, there's only a 7.
Yes. There's only 7 that survive.
There's 7. Okay, there's 7.
There's
That's
7.
8
Yes.
left.
There's 7 left.
Not these 3 fingers, just these 7.
Okay, so 7 are left, and
Sucks to suck.
things aren't great.
Yeah, well, they just went to war and they lost.
Yeah, okay, so
1,000 of them have gone.
this is a bad segue, but did you know that? Remember the pyramid that I showed you earlier, that the Cahokia tribe with the mound
Pyramid.
and the pyramid from Giza, which is in Egypt, and
remember.
then the third thing was the smaller mound that was the pyramid, the smaller step pyramid that was the Tenochtitlan one.
Pyramid of the nerds.
Yeah, the pyramid of the sun. That's right.
Nerds.
That's right.
Nerds.
And it was in Mexico.
I remember that.
In Tenochtitlan was a city of about 250,000 to 350,000 people
Nerds.
at the time.
250 nerds.
I don't think they were nerds. They're probably like slaves and stuff,
And warriors and nerds.
and some nerds, hopefully.
Couple of
Just nerds, but the nerds were gonna get beat up. You know, like if you're a nerd, you're like back in the day before like law and order,
you were going to get beat up.
before the Magna Carta, you were gonna get beat up, dude.
Yeah, fair. But especially before the 90s.
Especially before the 90s,
Yeah.
you just get beat up for wearing that. Or,
70s, you're
yeah, exactly.
You're wearing glasses.
You can't.
Pow!
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'm thinking. Okay, so
Who sings?
nerds.
Got the music in you, but the world is calling you through.
I have no idea. Well, I like that you're singing it.
It's not New Order. It's okay. Anyway, whatever.
Well,
I don't know what my point had to do with this, but it was going to be tied into this somehow.
It's okay.
Okay, so Tenochtitlan had 250 to 300,000 people. And that was, remember when I talked about that Cahokia place being really big near where St. Louis is? Okay, and I said the biggest place that was in North America or that was north of Mexico or whatever. Okay, because the places that were bigger was this place. This is Tenochtitlan was 300,000. That's a factor of 10 larger than the Cahokia was.
That's pretty good.
So this is big. You see their step pyramids and you compare them to the mounds that are in Cahokia. This is like way bigger than that.
Probably compared the mounds of Moundville. They're probably.
Well, I mean, like, why would you be building a mound when you could just build something out of rocks? But I guess if you ain't got rocks nearby, then you like can't build anything with rocks.
Yeah, exactly.
You just got to pile up some dirt and hope that people think that it's just as impressive.
Some kind of mythos. Yeah.
But it's not really. Like rocks are way more impressive than when it comes down to it.
We love rocks.
We do love rocks.
I mean, like
Dirt just why washes away. Like if it
it's
rains,
not called dirt music. It's called rock music. Right. There it is.
that's the best explanation for this. I'm not even gonna say anything else because Jesse just like nailed it on the head. It's not called dirt music. It's called rock music.
For a reason.
Yes. I want a shirt. I want a shirt that says that on it. Okay. Part of the reason that those step pyramids in Tenochtitlan were so big, it could have been because they were helped by one of the surviving 7 of the giant races that survived from the Third Age. And that after a while, the Aztec people decided that it was better to make peace with them. Like we saw the Sitika and the Paiute people. They said if you stop cannibalism, then we'll be friends or whatever.
Cannibalism, we can be friends.
And you see the same pattern happen with them. They end up being friends with one of the giants.
Yeah.
Minimum. One of them.
It's like the attached.
Mm-hmm. So we have that pyramid, step pyramid, but we also have another pyramid. Have you ever heard of the pyramid of Cholula not the hot sauce.
Oh, I love the hot sauce.
Me too. It is named after the same place, I think.
Yeah, I literally love Cholula, but
Is it your favorite?
no, Valentino's my favorite. I'll share some with you one day.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I make breakfast or something.
Would it be breakfast?
Because chorizo and eggs.
Oh, okay.
So good.
Well,
So
I
good.
can't say no to that. That sounds
Yeah,
great.
yeah. Come over for it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Cholula. Okay, so there's a pyramid at Cholula.
we need to go there.
We do need to go there.
Support Legends and Libations on site.
You'll be able to do this very soon.
You can do
from
this
now.
wherever you want.
Absolutely.
If you want us to be in New Mexico, we can be there. If you want us to be in if you want us to be in Antarctica, we can be there.
If you want us to be
in Japan,
in your basement, we will be there
we
too.
will literally work in.
We will be outside tied to a tree.
Do it.
Yes.
Do it. Come on. Come on.
Guano. Sorry, I thought it was what you said. But remember when I talked earlier about how we give credit to explorers like De Soto and Magellan, even though they don't give credit to their giant stories or their like invincible stories?
Yes.
Yes, and your Spanish is really good.
Thanks. My whole SI.
You might have remembered some guy that we talked about previously in a podcast called Cortez.
I remember him.
Yes.
He was powerful.
Yeah.
He had big muscles.
He's the one that conquered the Aztecs.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. So that city that I was just telling you had like maybe 300,000 people. He was the one that like overthrew that. But he had a story or an anecdote that he reported back to his not his superiors, but like his note taking guy or whatever. He sent this story back to Spain
His hired nerd.
Yeah, his hired nerd that was like talking to the other nerds, King George's nerds or King Ferdinand or whatever,
Yeah.
those guys, Spanish nerds. Okay, so Cortez, he was the one that was known for conquering the Aztecs.
And making chocolate. I mean,
Chocolate.
Cortez the killer, not Cortez the chocolate. Sorry.
What are you talking about?
It's a wild.
Do you mean
He found
Toblerone? Okay, so Cortez, he wrote back to his bros up in Spain
Hey,
or
bros,
whatever.
Spain.
He was like,
This is happening.
so like things are going pretty well over here in the New World. Like we actually found it, and there's some like
chocolate.
dark colored people, but we're gonna probably like overthrow them in a few days. The one thing is they've got this one guy, and he's like he might be like 11 feet tall, but it's all wide. He was like Goliath or something like that in the Bible, is what I don't have the exact quotes.
He said Goliath. Wow. Yeah, I get it.
He said that this guy's name was Tizloctizin.
I know.
Tizloctizlin. It's kind of like Tenochtitlan, but Tenochtitlan. Something. I don't know.
It's like
Anyway,
me trying to speak anything.
he was the Goliath of the Aztecs.
Uh-huh.
And it was in 1521 when they were administering a siege to the main city. And this one guy, he was coming out and he was fighting against the Spanish, and like all of his arrows were hitting their mark, and none of the arrows of the Spanish people were even like piercing his armor or his skin or anything. He wasn't taking any damage.
Oh man.
Yeah, exactly. He had like stone, like
Giants.
yes, exactly. He had like that imperturbability of having an advanced thick skin.
How did he feel about pancakes?
I don't know. He's probably
bet you.
really wanted some pancakes all the time.
Shoot, dang.
But even though the Aztecs had this one guy who was like really jacked and like really tall,
I only had 7 left. So.
he was the last one.
Yeah.
He was the only one. So Cortez's guys still were able to win.
Yeah. Well, 1 against 1 bajillion.
Yeah, they still had a big guy though. Like,
Big guy.
but it's like what I was talking about earlier about how De Soto, Magellan, Amerigo Vespucci. We talk about those guys.
Yeah.
Cortez, we venerate him. Like he's like a historical figure.
Yeah, he and we all of a sudden we trust him, we don't trust him.
Yes,
We
and
trust him.
mm-hmm. You can't choose that. Like
Yeah, like why are we picking and choosing what we trust these guys with?
Exactly.
If they say they're all giant, and they've been trustworthy before that. Why are we
and afterwards and to history.
Yeah, like why are we distrusting them
Yeah.
now? Yeah, geez.
Anyway, that was the okay. So I'll give you my grand theory that I mentioned earlier. The Aztecs ended up not exterminating the giants, but driving them north. When there was 7 of them left, that I was talking to you about, that they didn't kill the 7. They ended up just like pushing them out of their territory and not pursuing them. And what is north of the Aztec territory is the ones that you were talking about earlier in the southern United States, northern Mexico. And then up above that is where the Paiute people had the legend of the giants
And
that were happening. But we also had like the mound builders, the ones that were the
true.
Cahokia ones, and the ones that were in the southern United States, southeast United States. And then we had the story of Paul Bunyan, for sure.
Stone giants.
Yes, the stone giants, the Iroquois. What state was that in?
That was in New York. Yeah.
Okay, exactly. So it's just like moving up. It's like they drove them out of the Aztec in the Central America. We talked about
upwards.
in the timeline fits too.
Yeah,
because
by the 1800s they're already moved up.
yes, exactly. By the
Not
1800s,
many of them, just a couple.
no, just a few of them. Yes, it was like the 1500s, and then they just like spread towards the North America. I like that though.
Yeah. I think that's, and then by the end of it, we have Paul, who's like going to become like
Legends.
he's absolutely a legend, but he's like much more kind towards the whole like he's not devouring, he's not fighting. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna make money in this capitalist economy
Society, yeah.
Yeah, and he does well. In fact, he needs someone named Johnny Inkslinger
To keep his records for him, yeah. I
And-
like that.
And like, what happens if that's the way the story works?
I think that
What
might be like the
happens
best
if that's the
PR
way
version.
The cookie crumbles. And Smithsonian doesn't want us to know that shit because they're like, but actually, like, pancakes satisfied the giants.
I like that. Wow. Jesse nailed it on the head. It went up through the Aztecs and went through the Paiutes and it went through the Iroquois and stuff like that until it got to where the Smithsonian existed, and then they clamped down on it.
Yeah. And notice that Paul doesn't have a wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so maybe Paul is the last of the
The
giants.
last of the one of the 7, probably.
Yeah, he's one of the 7
Yeah.
last of the giants. He's and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna cut wood.
Just so I can blend in. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he's really a badass. We like him. He loves.
We do.
pancakes.
He loves nature
He loves nature.
and his fellow wildlife.
Yeah. And guess what? He loves his friends too.
Mm-hmm.
But he did die in a bar fight, lumberjack bar fight, and we're sad about that.
Sad way to go, really.
Sad way to go, but
To be honest with you.
for the Giants, it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like they're not going out with a bang, they're going out with a whimper.
Yeah,
But
that's like,
if they did go out with a bang, then that would call too much attention to them. So
yeah, and Smithsonian would erase it.
you want to know something funny?
Yeah.
In 2002, there was a competition to see who could come up with the most convincing Photoshop picture of giant skeletons in America.
Yeah.
And a bunch of the pictures that you see online that are like thumbnails for like clickbait YouTube videos and articles are pictures from the Photoshop competition in 2002. And I will put some pictures on the screen, and Jesse has never seen these pictures, so we should get them to react to them live.
That orange pretty good over there.
I think so. I told you I was going to eat the orange because I can't let an orange just like go to waste. Do you want some orange?
Oh, sure. I love it.
There's a good piece of an orange right there. It really tears really perfectly.
Guys, this maple this maple old fashioned is really good. It's like, if I was going to give it a rating 1 through 10, I'm going to give it an 8 or 9.
8 or 9. I was
or
going to say 9. I'd say so. We're going to like 8.5 it. Probably.
Let's say
Or
9.
9. Let's go to 9. Okay. Jesse's going with 9. I agree with Jesse.
It's a good old fashioned. If you
Indeed.
like old fashions, if you like whiskey. I have freaking
He's got the
guys.
hiccups. It's
I
so
have
funny.
hiccups, I can't get rid of them. The old fashioned is really good. It's nice. It has a good sweetness, and it's a good whiskey, and the maple syrup is like flipping awesome. I can't stop hiccuping.
No, you're good.
And this Canadian maple syrup is good.
That's totally not sponsoring us, but whatever.
Yeah, they're not sponsoring us. I don't even know what kind they are anymore. I forgot.
It's okay.
But they're good. And Legends whiskey isn't also sponsoring us, but holy crap, look how much we drank. We have maybe 1 glass left.
How did that happen?
God knows we don't.
We don't.
Some giant was drinking it.
Okay, so what do you think about the Giants being pushed north by like the Aztec people and then just like moving through all those other people? If we talked about this before, I'll edit it out. But I want to talk about it in case we didn't get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It seems like the similarities that we see between the peoples, like the cannibalism, the hair, a lot of the time, the stature, obviously, and the connection to like the violence and the origin story of the places. It seems kind of like you could create a narrative of them moving north from the Central American people up through the North American people, because we see that.
I think the narrative lends itself there. And if you think of the Smithsonian cult trying to cover it up,
Absolutely.
It's so totally, it seems like maybe they were pushed up north. If we take this all as fact,
we can't blame them for that.
We can't blame them, but it does move forward into the into the north. And it was really Paul Bunyan,
right,
who is a good giant.
Right. So they had a total
stickiness on my hands.
The rehabilitation of the giant species.
The giants were made noble, but still died in a fight.
Mm-hmm.
A bar fight.
That's kind of like a big a comeback. You know what I mean? Like it comes full circle.
Full circle.
Paul Bunyan had rehabilitated their image. He was a good guy, and he had made friends with the humans, and totally people didn't even know about him, his race, and his ancestors fighting humanity. And he goes to a bar one night, has a minor disagreement, probably about like a hockey team or something like that.
Sometimes lame.
And some guy hits him in the back of the head in the weak spot, you know what I mean? Where it's like right there, the soft spot, and he's gone. It's like the Achilles heel of the head.
The end of the giant race.
And it's gone right there. It's Paul Bunyan. You heard it here first.
Heard it here first. Paul Bunyan was the end of the giant race.
I have nothing on my notes left, dude.
How do we rate the American giant?
Okay.
I like the American giant. I had a lot of fun with this. I'm a little drunk with this, but
I have a question.
You have a question?
Oh.
What's the question?
Remember how I was telling you about how the arguments against giants involve the differential in height between Europeans at the time and the giants they saw, and the misidentification of skeletons, which could be like mammoths and other things.
Yeah, other things, yeah.
And physical abnormalities like a disease or something that may have happened to one in like 1,000.
Yeah.
And they buried them and they happened to find that one that had that one genetic anomaly that showed that they were extra tall for some reason. Okay. Another thing that they claim that disproves the giants is that the newspapers were just making it up at the time to sell more newspapers. And it was just sensationalized journalism at the time. It's fake news.
The original fake.
Do you think that could be like an actual argument for why they didn't? Because it doesn't. Okay, even if you say that some of the arguments for giants are sensationalized news, they're fake because the news made it up. There are misidentified bones. We might have found ourselves a saber-toothed tiger or whatever we put together the wrong way, and it makes a skull, and we're going to say it's a human that's large.
Yeah.
Or this guy has a pituitary disorder, a tumor on his thing, and he grows extra tall.
Yeah.
That's a bunch of things. Or that these people were just like average height. They were bigger than the people that we're used to. It does not, on a reasonable timeline, to me, explain away a convincing amount of accounts of giants. There has to be some that were at least taller, more than your average would be for these types of things that were found. And that proves that there were at least people taller in North America at the time than your average European, and it's not acknowledged enough by mainstream science.
Yeah. It's like mainstream science wants to like kind of create this like narrative of a very put together world, but maybe the world's not as put together as we want it to, which is funny to say when I'm drunk, but whatever.
They do want to keep it like to put together. The things that they don't understand scared them.
Yeah, well, it scares everyone, right? It
doesn't scare me.
But what happens if the world just isn't as explainable as we want it to be? What was that orange?
That scares me.
Yeah.
No, hold on. Sorry. The opposite of that scares me.
It scares you that people won't hide it?
No, it scares me that people have it all figured out. It scares me that every corner of the map is explored and is lit up and illuminated. It's the thing the possibility of things that we don't know that excites me. The opposite scares me.
Yeah,
for sure.
I agree. Like, I think the world unexplained is more interesting than the world explained.
Absolutely.
It's like when Jack Sparrow when Jack Sparrow says the world is
smaller. There's just
but it's just
less in it.
less in it.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I want the world to be
More
bigger
with
than-
more in it.
Yeah, I want bigger and more, and like I want it wild. And so maybe this is my biases.
I want the map to keep growing.
Please,
Yes, don't be finite.
please.
Always have dark spots. I have to go towards those.
I don't want this like BS where like we have everything figured out because like I like the world being unsure.
Absolutely. What do you think about giants overall as a myth?
Yeah, well, I think Giants of America are like. I've had fun with this one.
I had a lot of good time with
I'm
the
gonna
Giants
give
of
it a solid
America.
8.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not even
Solid
going to
8.
change from that. I think 8's a good one for this
It's
one.
a good one.
The only negative that I would say, and I was about to get some ice cubes out of this, but I'm unzipping it the wrong direction because I've gotten an extra chromosome from drinking this whiskey. But the Giants, their stories on themselves, if you're just to like pick one out of a pile and say, I'm going to look at this story of the giant, it is not compelling and not that interesting. It's going to most likely lead to a dead end about the Smithsonian covering it up and taking away the skeletons, or no follow-up being on
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
One of my most favorite stories from this whole thing that we didn't talk about because there was not enough evidence for it was the possibility of a civilization being found in the Grand Canyon that had influences from Egyptian hieroglyphics and Tibetan Buddhism. Had statues that showed that they had influenced the statues of this culture, and it was in like a massive underground city like that one that you found in like Turkey or somewhere. I'll put this in the show notes if we even put this in. But there was only one newspaper article about it, and there was no follow up to it. And it said that the guy had like investigated it, and the Smithsonian people had come in with like it was like 400. Okay, I might be exaggerating, but I'm not exaggerating this number. It's between 60 and 400 people came in as a team and investigated this cave system in the Grand Canyon and had taken away all the artifacts, all the mummified bodies, all the whatever. And it was like the place in the Middle East that could have held a bunch of people underground. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll show it to you afterwards. I'll put it in the thing. But then there was never any mention of it ever again at all. And then they talked to the Smithsonian. They tried to contact them to ask them if there was a record of this person even working for them. And they denied it and said there wasn't. So if that has any bit of truth to it at all, then that is just like out of the ballpark of the even believable at all, because it shows that people that were living in the Western United States had Columbian contact with the people that lived in Egypt and in Tibet. That's completely outside of the realm of the possible for mainstream science at all, because that would implicate that we have to rewrite the history of everything.
History, yeah.
Yes, you wouldn't even have a starting point then at all. It would just be, well, we don't know the starting point. All we know is that this point there was already this much established, which is a giant
Which
part.
is a little scary.
Yes, much scarier. And you could even filter down from what we talked about in the Antarctica episode a little bit, and we talked about earlier, is that the Polynesians had migrated across the islands to the western side of South America pre-Columbian. And did they spread up through the...
and so it's like the giant myth is fun. Mm-hmm. And I would be, I think, foolhardy to say like none of it's true.
Me too.
I think sure, like just like Paul Bunyan has been elaborated and expanded on, like his words literally freeze in the air. Mm-hmm. You're sure that's crazy, but there's like, is there truth in these things? I think so. I think there's something in them, right?
There has to be something because of not only
The
like
correlation around the universe or the world.
You just have like a bias, like a frequency bias of this. There has to be something that was discovered. Yeah. Think of the Abraham Lincoln quote that I was telling you about, the mounds that were filled with the giants that ruined this country. Absolutely. And if you filter down from, think about how the Nephilim story relates to the Aztec story about there was only like a few of them that survived from like one cataclysm to the other. And if one of those cataclysms was a flood, which is like talked about all over the world, and like the Graham Hancock stuff that we talked about with the Antarctica and the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis of the ice sheet being melted or whatever, how that plays into the mythology that would have wiped out part of the giants, which would have wiped out the Nephilim from the from the Bible.
Yeah.
Exactly. So who's to say that those kind of stories were not related, and that the possibility of them driving the giants up through the continent? I mean, that makes a lot of sense, though. Who knows?
Yeah. So, guys, welcome to Legends and Libations, where we don't know anything, but we know some things.
And we have 2 minutes before the video starts recording. So,
yeah. So,
thank you guys for listening.
absolutely. If you are one of the 99, thank you.
Thank you.
On
We
YouTube,
appreciate
on
you.
YouTube, we are not talking about the other podcasts.
50 subscribers or so we have on 100
Spotify or
Spotify.
on Apple.
Yeah, but we appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we please add us. Get ready to get some t-shirts, and
We're gonna have some t-shirts next time. We're really excited about that.
excited about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
This really, you guys are our favorite humans, and so if you guys have any questions or if you guys have anything, leave it in the comments.
Leave in the comments or suggestions.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
or we'll drink it. And if you send us something, we'll definitely drink it.
Most definitely.
We're always excited to try new things. So
Especially harmful household chemical concoctions.
exactly. So go ahead and talk to us. We're here for you. We will be starting a Discord
Soon, so we can talk
and
to you.
Patreon. So
Yes.
get ready for that. And again, drink is awesome. Go ahead and make it at home. It's fantastic. Before you
We recommend this. We'll put the recipe on the screen.
put the recipe on the screen. And I don't have anything else.
I don't either. That was a fun one.
Yeah. See you guys next episode.
All
Don't
right.
know what it's going to be yet, but get ready.
Nice. See you, Jesse.
See you later. Bye.
Yeah. Boom.